It's not the buns
It's
of
not
the
bun,
80s.
bun.
This
It's-
is the 2020 buns.
It's a
clearly.
2020.
It's got a life of its own and it's fantastic.
Well,
hey,
well.
there it is.
Fantastic.
It had to come.
It was coming.
It was
There
here.
It is. Yes.
It was right here. Welcome to the show. We'll be discussing a number of things today. Of course, we've got to look at COVID-19. We know that there's politics around in the country. But lest we forget, we still have locusts visiting the country. And we have floods affecting hundreds of people, have killed hundreds of people. Actually, floods affecting thousands of people. Thousands displaced, hundreds dead. And this is still a big story. However, we are still under lockdown of some sort. But are we really in lockdown?
No.
Are we focusing on the fight against COVID?
That's a question.
Okay.
That's
That will be the discussion that we'll be having. Really, is our government really focusing on the fight against COVID? Or is the house on the hill sending us different signals and telling us, our focus is elsewhere? As you guys, look for something to eat and where to sleep, we are doing other things. Anyway, so let's start with COVID-19. We are approaching that 1,000 figure quite fast.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
19th, place your bets. When are we crossing the 1,000?
Probably by, if we're
Pick a
on,
date.
we're on Tuesday, we're at 9:20, right? So chances are, if we've been seeing an average, I think the mean was 30,
30.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if
Give
we're
it
going to
3
go
days.
by that, in the next 3 days, we would have hit 1,000 in Kenya.
So, 21st.
By the weekend, by Friday.
No,
It's
a
would have-
date. Come on. We're
Clearly, you're a betting man.
You're
What's
a
the
gambler.
problem?
We
These
are
things are
placing
coming to the
this.
fore just by the way in which you place some arguments.
Yes. What date?
Eric. I said by the 22nd. By the time the briefing is given on the
We're not doing
22nd.
that thing that the government does.
22nd is which
Oh,
day?
if you're
It's
not
Friday.
sure,
Friday.
close
Yeah,
the
yeah,
button.
Friday.
22nd. By the time the
22nd.
briefing is done, we would have crossed 1,000.
Friday.
Friday?
How much
Yes.
do you have? Put it on the table. Now, go.
2 sausages.
Can't bribe me with food. Try
Really?
something else.
Really?
2 sausages and a beer.
Right now, that's the biggest thing. 2 sausages and a couple of beers. This is the most coveted commodity right now in the country. What do you mean? Hey.
It's not doing me, I beg. Would not be my problem now, Jerry.
So we are at 9:20 today. How many cases were announced yesterday?
Okay, so
Apart
yes.
from the 25 at the border.
No, there were 25 cases, 27 cases yesterday. So that took us from 887 to the 37 cases. So it took us 887 to 920.
920.
So yeah, continues to grow. And yes, border cases, the truckers brought in quite a number of those. So it's still a center of attention right now. As per what's going to be done about the trucking cases. But it just goes to show that it's been there all this time. It just happens to be now that attention is being paid. So this is what I've been saying. If, in fact, COVID has been, and it has been, it's been carried back and forth for the last few weeks. It's been crossing the borders.
Weeks.
People have been bringing it back and forth, or even months, absolutely. People have been bringing it back and forth. It's been traversing, boundaries in and out of Kenya. It just happens to be now that testing is happening in other areas. And, I think, I stand to be corrected, but testing was focused on those individuals who had been quarantined. And now that has, initially, and that has changed now to other spots of people, and that's why we see more cases.
Yep.
And then it's the other spots of people that are focused now are high risk. So chances are you will find somebody who's infected. It's like if you go to a hospital on admitted patients and you're looking for a certain bacteria, chances are you'll get it. Yeah. So because we are looking at people who are at high risk, who are likely to have gotten it, anytime we test, we are likely to get somebody.
Yeah.
So for me, the most useful piece of information that the government can do is to do random testing. Let's say you go to Kibra, Kawangware, Lavington, wherever it is, do random tests. And if you pick out people with the virus there, then it means your community spread is actually more than you thought it was initially.
Yeah.
Because those are now people who are unlikely to have contracted the virus. Who are, let's say, people like us who are in
Who are
office
not
here, you're going
exposed.
home, you're not highly exposed. So if you find the virus here, then that's a bigger concern. But with the trackers, with healthcare workers, people
was
who have
expected.
traveled, chances are you'll get the virus.
Right.
There's a higher chance you'll get the virus.
But also it's an indicator of what's likely to happen, because these trackers, after they finish their shift, they'll end up into the community. So capturing it there also helps to know that this high-risk area, if we can manage this emerging high-risk area, then we'll be able to manage the spread within the community.
Well, I mean, what are we
No,
looking at? It's studies that have been done on truckers before. I mean, it was out in the open. It was public that truckers and commercial sex workers, when they wanted to look at that trade and how that opened up, and Mlolongo, one of the hot spots, at the border towns of Busia and Malaba and such, that this was quite rampant. That you would see heightened cases of HIV/AIDS, for example, amongst those two. And you know that this is a practice amongst truckers, that, they're on these journeys for long periods of time. And their first port of call, in many cases, was with commercial sex workers.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the next port of call then would be in these border towns, and then going about testing amongst commercial sex workers after this. And I would not be surprised if you would find that a lot of them actually are infected with COVID.
True. And don't get me wrong, the testing of trackers on border towns and all their stop points should continue. But I'm saying, if you're going to look for it there, you're likely to get it. But if you want to make a decision on whether to de-escalate or escalate measures and whatnot, and things like that, you need to now look at the general population, because that is now where you will get information about how rampant or how widespread the virus is. Because now those are people who are at low risk. So if you get high number of people at low risk with the virus, then it means you need to escalate your measures. If you look and you find that 1 in every 100 people, then you may consider loosening measures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we look at the numbers around the world, I think one thing that came out yesterday from the government spokesman was that, very many number of people were worried that, police were then going into the interior, into estates and such, and basically harassing people who were in their private vehicles for having not been wearing masks. And he came out yesterday very clearly and said that actually, no, that you should not be arrested in your private vehicle if you're not wearing a mask. The emphasis really is on public transport and in public areas. Now, when you do come out of your vehicle and entering into a public area, you need to have your mask on. But then it still just furthers the debate more that we are saying, is it really to protect yourself, or is it to make sure that you don't get in trouble with the police? But that came out clearly yesterday, that in your private vehicle, if you do get, it shouldn't be the case that you'll be harassed or arrested by police. And I think he wanted to make that clear yesterday.
Okay.
So he said you'll not be arrested.
You should not be arrested.
You should not be arrested.
In your private
But he
vehicle
was
for
at the
having
same
not
time
wearing a mask.
insisting that what they're trying to do is ensure that you
wear as much as possible.
so that you can get this as part of your everyday life culture.
New normal.
Yeah,
So if
kind
it
of like the
becomes
way
your
the
new-
Japanese have a camera everywhere they go. It's part of their national dress. So now a mask should be part of your attire every day. Yeah.
So
Okay.
our Kenyan numbers, 25 new cases,
New cases, yeah.
912.
Yeah.
Not 900.
Not 920. Okay, there we go.
912.
And
Out of the
Eric,
25, how many from the border?
we'll get to that.
All right. So if you look at global numbers, we're inching close, and I do predict as well that by the time we get round to the weekend, we would have crossed 5 million cases globally. Currently at 4,891,419. With now, again, this includes the deaths of 320,137 and the recovered cases of 1,907,423. As is the case, to look at how this is affecting by country. The US at 1.5 million, Russia at 290,000, and Spain at 278,000. Brazil has overtaken the UK. This was not the case yesterday. The UK at 246,406, and Brazil at 255,368 with 16,853 deaths. However, we heard news coming out of Brazil yesterday that they're going to release measures and they're going to start to open up now. Lockdown will soon be a thing of the past.
So they've been on lockdown for a while.
They've been on lockdown for 6 weeks. But their cases are rising, and they are again seen now as the South American epicenter. But even with the heightened number of cases that we see, the heightened number of deaths, for some reason, they feel that they can open up and have no problem. I don't understand the rationale behind this, but it makes sense to somebody somewhere.
At the beginning of the pandemic, they were not really keen on instituting lockdown measures, distancing, all of these, preventative measures. They're not really keen on it. So that they want, that they want to de-escalate already, despite these numbers. I'm
and
quite
their
not
numbers
surprised.
have begun to triple in the last 12 days.
Yeah.
So, well, okay.
Yeah.
It's a stump for me. I don't understand. But let's see.
What are the people saying? Is it pressure from the people? Or is it just the few politicians who are feeling, come on?
What we've been able to read is that there's pressure on the government to save the economy, as it were, and let people go back to doing their job. So I haven't seen that the people are asking to go back like what we've seen in the US, where people are saying this is enough. We need to be out and we need to go about our business. In this case, it's coming from the government that they want to save the economy of the country. So it'll be interesting to see how that would work. This has happened. We had a number of we had a flight that came in from Dubai to Kenya last week. The UAE has 24,190 cases with less than 1%, way below 1% in deaths, 224. But we also see this as another country whereby the measures have been to the letter. You can't, if you do go out, everybody knows where you are at a particular point in time. You're given an hour, for example, to go get your shopping or do other necessities. And, somebody's watching. You have a QR code on your phone, for example. It gives you permission to go out. And then it starts to beep when it's time for you to get back home. So they've been very strict. And perhaps this is why we see that. And they're also testing quite vigorously. And this is why we see that the numbers are still relatively low here. All right. South Africa, 16,433, with 286 deaths. Egypt at 12,764. Still keeping it on the African continent. Algeria at 7,201. Morocco at 6,952. Nigeria at 6,175. Ghana at 5,735, and those are the highest numbers that we see on the African continent. And so, numbers just seem to more or less remain the same. Kenya with 912, Niger with 909, Mali with 874, Burkina Faso with 796, and Tanzania still remains at 509. For now, let's see if those numbers will change by Friday.
They can add the 23 from...
They can add the 23 from Kenya.
That are tested for them.
Actually, it's 51. Aman, the CAS Health, Aman said there were 53 truck drivers who tested positive. Out of these, 51 are Tanzanians, while 2 are Burundians.
So let's see if they'll claim those numbers by Friday of their weekly update. Okay.
We'll also claim the ones that they've tested. 19 of our Kenyans
are there.
So
take them from Tanzania. The number should actually be 931.
Yeah, let's look at weather first and then continue with taking a look at the numbers globally. As we get there, today's proverb: a fowl does not forget who trim his feathers during the rainy season.
Sorry, say that again.
A fowl does not forget who trim his feathers in the rainy season. Tafakari hayo. I'll tell you what it means shortly. Good morning, 23 minutes after 6.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
All right, let's look at what the skies look like this morning in Nairobi at 13 degrees. It's clear skies all through, only partly cloudy conditions in the afternoon with highs of 25 and lows of 12. Nyeri this morning is clear skies all through at 13 degrees, partly cloudy later with highs of 24. Nakuru at 13 degrees is sunny this morning. That'll all change in the afternoon though, highs of 25 and lows of 13 with showers all through the evening well into tomorrow morning. Eldoret is partly cloudy at 13 degrees. The City of Champions will see some rain this afternoon with highs of 23 and lows of 12. In the lakeside city of Kisumu at 20 degrees, it's partly cloudy. The rain is going to come down later on with highs of 27 and lows of 19. Mombasa is mostly cloudy this morning at 26 degrees. Showers expected early on with highs of 27 and lows of 23. Malindi is going to experience showers this afternoon at 28 degrees. It's currently mostly cloudy with 26 degrees steady. In Kampala, 19 degrees is partly cloudy. Thunderstorms expected for the afternoon, highs of 26 and lows of 19. And in Dar es Salaam this morning at 24 degrees, it's cloudy conditions, and we're going to see rain in the afternoon. However, it will not last too long. Johannesburg at 9 degrees is clear skies right now with partly cloudy conditions to follow in the afternoon. However, we will see a high of 21 and lows of 7. It'll be quite cool there in the afternoon. Taking a look then into Paris this morning at 12 degrees when the sun does come up. It'll be clear skies all through. Partly cloudy conditions will follow later with highs of 26 and lows of 12. Taking a look into London this morning, it's going to be quite chilly this morning. However, that will warm up later and we will see highs of 25 and lows of 12 with clear skies all through, and we'll ring it out in New York where it's still midnight. However, when the sun does come up, 15 degrees is what is being touted for a very warm day in New York with highs of 21 and lows of 13.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
28 minutes after 6 o'clock. And you were telling us about the African numbers. And you told us that Tanzania has not announced the new numbers lately.
Just from what we're seeing from Magufuli is that we probably will not see. They will not tell you how many numbers they have. And I think this is his strategy. He's not going to share this information He's dealing with it as
He
best
said
he knows.
spreading panic causes even worse things. Remember that example he was giving when he was at a church service on Sunday? And he was giving the example of a friend of his who had fallen sick, had gotten a stroke, was rushed to hospital. When he was rushed to hospital, he was admitted. And in the course of treatment, they tested him for COVID. He tested positive for COVID. So because he's positive for COVID, now the number of healthcare workers who are attending to him reduced. You know, the kind of protocols that they're now observing in treating him changed because he's tested positive for COVID. In fact, he says that the family felt like he was abandoned. So they opted to move him from the hospital to a private hospital. And when he was taken to the private hospital, again, they moved him and took him straight to a COVID treatment facility. But he tested again, and it was negative for COVID. And that's when they were, okay, now that you're negative, let's deal with you. He's now back home.
You know, the thing I get from that story is that there's testing happening.
Yes. In
Regardless
Tanzania,
of
all the measures are in place.
Regardless of all of this hulabaloo and whatnot, the only thing that's not happening is that reporting of the results is not happening because the last time we saw results were 2 weeks ago, but testing is happening. That's the only way they realized that we have 19 truck drivers from Kenya.
Yep.
We could have stories like that one about somebody who tested positive, then negative. Testing is actually happening.
The president's son tested positive,
Exactly.
recovered. There's testing happening.
Yeah, so there's testing happening, which is important. Like you test because you need to identify who is positive, who is a possible carrier, who needs better care. So I hope that with testing, the other public health measures follow suit, like contact tracing, isolation, quarantine. I hope that is also happening.
Right.
But that testing is happening means it is a possibility that all of those other things are happening.
Things are happening. Yes,
Yeah.
it's true indeed. And also, if you look at the measures that they've taken, schools were closed. Remember, Magufuli is talking about thinking about reopening schools, which means that he had already ordered the closure of schools.
Yeah.
He had ordered a reduction of sporting activities, that is basically controlling large gatherings. So all those measures have already been put in place. Now he's just thinking, let's relax them. But at the same time, I think clearly the decision of his government is we are not going to give COVID the
attention,
kind of attention that everybody else is giving it. We'll talk about COVID. We'll tell people, tafadhali jihadhari lakini ishi maisha yako. Be cautious, but live your life. Do what you need to do. Let's discuss Tanzania in the course of the show today.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis Kenya.
Okay. So
Go to the headlines.
just before we go to the headlines, further afield on coronavirus, recent developments in the US, and my worry is that it may have a ripple effect back in Africa. That the US President Trump said he's been on hydroxychloroquine for a couple of weeks, in his own words, because, this drug has been there for a while. Why not? It will prevent you from catching the virus if at all you are at high risk. And it has caused quite a debate among the healthcare professionals in the US, among the public, because now the fear is that, remember when he said hydroxychloroquine is a good drug, and there was a mad rush to buy the drugs off the counters. We saw people in Lagos getting chloroquine poisoning and the likes, even in the US. So the worry is that now people who believe in Trump will be like, if the president is taking hydroxychloroquine, why not?
Look, these guys drank bleach a couple of weeks ago
Because
Trump said,
and they wanted to inject it.
I don't understand. He said Lysol and all these other wonderful things can actually kill. So if it can be ingested, right?
Or
And then you
inject.
had people in New York and Rhode Island getting into hospital for bleach and poisoning. So I can understand. I can understand why you see the worry, because then people are going to say,
Okay.
he's been on it for a couple of weeks. He seems
he
to
looks
be
fine.
okay.
It seems to be
So
okay.
let's try.
Yeah. And then now people who need it, people with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, will run out of medicine. Because remember, it's not produced en masse, because the demand for it's not your first line treatment for malaria. So the demand for it is low. So you'll find that the people who actually need it may run out of the medicines. So in my own thinking, I was hoping that the doctors have given him a placebo. But from the look of things, it is actually the real thing. Because they're like, there was the press secretary, I think it was Mike Pence's press secretary, who tested positive. His own personal valet tested positive. So they're like, okay, he might have been exposed. Since this drug is on trial amongst healthcare workers, let's try and
him.
To give him. And then you can remember you're also treating his psyche, because he thinks it works. So, yeah. So they're worried because in his medical in 2018, it showed that he had some form of heart disease. He's obese. So they're like, okay, here they were balancing between his chances of dying from coronavirus, which they said is 15 to 20%, and his chances of dying from hydroxychloroquine. So they're like, you know what? Let's give him the drug. We will do 24-hour monitoring, because anyway, being the U.S. president, his personal doctors, medics, and everything.
He's in a bubble.
Yeah. They're always there around the clock.
Changes, his skin color changes a little bit, and they'll notice
somebody's
within
there.
seconds,
Yeah.
right? But if indeed they're giving him a placebo and not the real deal, and then telling him it's hydroxychloroquine, they should be taken to court.
No, they've given him the real deal.
Ah, good.
They've given him the real deal.
And if they're giving him the real deal, then it's okay for him to talk about it. Because people who should know have basically given him the medicine. He's saying, I've been taking it for the last couple of days, and look at me, I'm fine.
No, Eric, we are looking at the consequences of Trump sitting in a press conference and saying, I'm on this drug. Remember, it's a prescription-only medicine.
Why are they giving him?
Because he's been exposed, it's at high risk, and because Trump.
Right.
If he wants that one, he'll just make your life hell.
Right.
Because he really wants that medicine.
This is somebody who is vulnerable, has been exposed, and medics have thought it wise to give him hydroxychloroquine.
No. For him, the people who are on trial for hydroxychloroquine, he does not qualify for the cohort of people that are on trial. The cohort who are healthcare workers and people who are fairly, who already infected and are sick. And therefore, you're looking at if this drug can reduce the duration of time in which the virus can be shed or the severity of the disease. So he does not qualify to be on the trial. So you cannot even say he is on trial for the medicine.
They gave him.
That
He's
is the
talking
debate.
about it.
That's the thing.
He's not saying
They
that.
shouldn't have given him.
Yeah, he's not saying that, you know what, I've been sneaking behind and taking this. He's basically saying, I have been on this thing.
For a couple of weeks.
Is
And
that-
he
is
already
anything
had
that he
even
has
taken
said untrue?
azithromycin.
Anything that he has said untrue?
You
No.
should have just kept quiet because of the consequences. Now you'll see some poor Africans going to buy hydroxychloroquine over the
Sisi
counter.
tuko na Wanjiru. We are okay. We don't need hydroxy, whatever. Us guys are fine. 23 minutes to 7. Let's take a look at traffic. Good morning.
All right, hasn't started very well this morning. Accident, terrible one at the Kibera underpass on the southern bypass. There's a call for ambulances and emergency services as soon as possible. That happened about 10 minutes ago, and I'm still waiting for somebody to get there and help to sort that out. The outer ring roundabout interchange between Komarok and Donholm looking very good this morning. Traffic is okay. Getting into the CBD will not be a problem. The normal issues that we have on Mombasa Road are still rearing their ugly heads, unfortunately. It's not going to take too long to get out of it, though. Traffic is not too terrible this morning. We'll take a look at how it opens up around about 7 o'clock, as most people will be on the roads, and we'll share more information with you on that. You need to help us out here as well. What you see will be good information for us to spread to others. Spice FM KE. That's how you can reach us on Twitter. Let us know what you see. But for now, it's looking good on Thika Road as well. Tell us, and we'll spread the word.
This is a situation, famous biggest conversation. Now let's dive into what's in the headlines.
This one is my favorite story. Kibor, 88, demands DNA test before sons inherit 1 billion shilling land. So this is the bitter food. Big win for controversial politician after court dismisses 5 sons' claim to the expansive property. Kibor says he will only give them land after paternity tests. So this is a 1,250-acre piece of land that is at the middle of this conflict. So according to Kibor, the sons and some of his employees wanted to lay claim over the piece of land. So Kibor was like, no. So he went to court. And last week, Environment and Land Court Justice Anthony Ombwayo ruled that Mzee Kibor was the legal owner of the land and that his sons and employees did not have valid documents to claim the ownership. So the court further directed affected employees to vacate the land within a period of 150 days, failure to which they will be forcibly evicted. Now, the sons can remain in the land. The 11th, 15th, and 18th defendants, who are the sons of the plaintiff, so the judge said he declines to order the evictions of the sons. But Kibor says, these are not my children. So speaking to the Standard after the ruling, Kibor claimed that the 5 were not his sons and that he intends to have DNA tests conducted to confirm or rule out his fears. So here is the genesis of that. They are not my sons. Kibor, who divorced Naomi Jepto in December 2018, now says that her sons, who he had sued, are not his. I never married Jepto. I doubt her sons are my biological sons and will have a DNA test conducted to prove that they are indeed my biological children before sharing to them my property. Back in 2017, remember, Kibor, a licensed gun holder, had denied threatening to shoot his son. Instead, he accused his son of attempting to attack him with a machete. Back then, he said, this boy is a conman, lying to court since I only removed the gun because my life was in danger as he attacked me while armed with a machete. I reported the matter at Soy police station. The court later acquitted him.
So
88-year-old man.
He's still
like, no.
up
DNA,
there.
if you're my son, prove it.
Prove it. Good grief.
He has divorced his wives. He now says, in fact, I had not even married her. I'm not even sure that those children are mine.
Did this
Good
issue ever
stuff.
come up before, whether he was
Good
doubting the
stuff.
paternity of his children? Did it come up before? But now, when there's land involved and there are assets involved, the question is, are you actually my children?
Yeah.
Maybe I would have thrown the blanket over it and, ignored it before. But now, when it comes to the inheritance of assets, then I'm going to ask the question,
Especially
are you really
because
mine?
It appears like there was a dispute where the sons and some farm workers had already started occupying this land and claiming ownership of the land. Right? Inheriting a man when he's still alive.
Imagine. So this particular piece of land, one of the sons told the court that he had been allocated 250 acres by his father, and the subdivision was done in 1994 in the presence of a surveyor. He said, Kibor, the owner, and the court said that this land is legally Mzee Kibor's, allocated 20 acres to Samitoi Girls Secondary School, an acre to Seyo PMCA Church, and 22 acres for the construction of a dam. So he has quite an expansive piece of land, and at least now the court says it is your land.
1,250 acres is no small piece of land.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
That is huge. That
It
is
is.
huge. Let's see how the drama with Mzee Kibor unfolds. I think he's a man who's just enjoying his
He's
sunset
enjoying
years.
his old age and
With-
he's enjoying his money.
If
All the
if
drama.
you can divorce your wife after 43 years and then says later, I never married her.
No, even
After
married her.
43 years, he's having the life
Okay.
of an old man. So yeah, that story on the front page of the Standard.
Shall we come from that story where we are laughing to go to another story where we shall be cringing and be completely annoyed? Turn to page 6 of the Standard, and you'll find the story of a man called James Kifo, who's accused of being the most gruesome assault of a lover in the presence of his 3-year-old son. He used pepper, salt, onions, a knife, and super glue on his wife. Now, the story goes that Mr. James Kifo is alleged to have traveled back home from Nairobi. Now, that's another story altogether. He traveled back home from Nairobi. And where is home? Home is in Tharaka Nithi. All right? And it's after 2 months that he had been in Nairobi. Then he gets home late in the evening. He's said to have returned home after a long sojourn in Nairobi and attacked his wife by first inserting pepper, salt, and onions in her private parts, using a sharp knife before applying super glue mixed with sand to seal it up. So this man gets home late in the evening, allegedly, and he tells the wife, I've just come from Nairobi. No, so don't tell anyone, because if they know that I've come from Nairobi, I'm going to be arrested, obviously, because I sneaked out of the Nairobi metropolitan region. So he tells her, now let's do this. We need to leave here, because if people see me, I'm going to get arrested. So let's go. This is around 10 p.m. at night. They get to a place where it's a bit dark, stops, and he tells the wife, you know what? Strip. She's like, what? Yep. Remove all your clothes. She tries to object, slaps her, beats her up a bit. She now obliges and undresses. And then he starts saying, can you name everybody that you've been sleeping with since I've been gone? She's like, come on, what is that? Now there's a back and forth. And this is when he gets now all that violent. Because she's already naked, he has a bag. And from that bag, he removes salt, pepper, onions, and super glue and proceeds to assault her. As he did so, he has instructed his son to hold the spotlight for him. This is a 3-year-old baby, Shikatochi. The son cries and attracts locals in the vicinity, and they run to the woman's rescue, and the attacker vanishes in the darkness. Basically, he had applied even super glue and saying, I'm going to seal this. And then he also tried to apply super glue in her ears and mouth as well.
Tragic.
The headline is this the most cruel man in Kenya?
Tragic. And what an irony that his name is Kifo.
Yep.
It's
His name is James Kifo.
I think.
So now he's on the run. Authorities are looking for him. A number of things, of course. One, they say that the man has been claiming that he's a watchman in Nairobi, but security agents and neighbors think that he's a thug and a criminal who operates in Nairobi. He has some cases pending locally. Theft here, theft there, suspected of involvement in a few robbery incidents. So there's that. And now, for this particular assault, he's being sought.
I think it's indicative of, he can be called Kenya's cruelest man for all intents and purposes of this heinous act that he committed. However, I think it is indicative of a cruelty that exists amongst people when we want to look at gender-based violence. Unfortunately, this violence, we are now seeing it creeping up across gender. And whereas we saw that men were the perpetrators, solely the perpetrators before, we see now that women are also employing some of these acts of violence against their partners or somebody who poses a threat to them in any way, shape or form. And I think it is indicative of the cruelty that lies in society. I think it is indicative of, and I would never be able to justify any act of cruelty or any act of violence upon another human being. But I don't think it just comes from a place where people want to teach somebody a lesson, because you can see from just the ingredients that he used to met out this violence on this woman. This is something that was thought out.
It was premeditated.
He wanted somebody to suffer. Right? It wasn't just passing a point. He wanted somebody to suffer. And we've seen cases like this. And look, I'm telling you the truth, as people get more and more frustrated because of an economic situation, as people get more and more frustrated because of a relationship or whatever the case may be, people are employing more violent tactics to be able to prove a point or to live out their frustration. And we've talked about the mental health state of many people in this country having not been given adequate attention. Mental health not as a whole, not just in Kenya, but globally. We've seen that the trends only began around 2015, 2016, 2017, where people were looking at mental health now as something that really needed to be paid attention to. Previously, it was a physical and physiological, but now going towards mental health, we see some of the things that we do. And in this case, this is somebody who's suffering. This one, it doesn't matter how you're going to put it. This is somebody
This person is not okay.
He's not okay.
But then can you imagine what this does to that 3-year-old boy?
Yeah.
He will be scarred for life.
Yep.
Yeah.
The mother also will be scarred for life, not just of what happened to her, but then what she has to be able to get her son through because of what he saw. So we can read these horror stories and have to live through the experience of these terrible things that happen to people. But it then begs the question that when are we going to get to the cusp when something then has to be done about mental health and mental issues? And we cannot always we can't just always throw down the gauntlet and say, yeah, he did it because he's suffering from a mental disability or something. However, it's something that needs to be paid attention to, because things like this, you know what's going to happen? They get into the media. I mean, how we see, as an example, we see jailbreaks.
What we do,
for example, we see jailbreaks. And where do people get ideas for jailbreaks? From what they see on TV. And so things like this, people are going to get other ideas of how they can mete out violence on their partners or people who piss them off.
And looking at this story, it has what the other gender-based violence stories have. It usually starts, let me call it small.
A slap here.
A warning there. And before you know it, it has reached this extent. People have died because of things that started small and they became a huge mountain later on. So I don't know what we need to do to empower women, men who are in abusive relationships to seek help early enough, to leave early enough, because these small things, they always end up the same. It starts small, and at the end of the day, you are literally fighting for your life in a hospital bed. We've seen the lady from, was it Machakos, who got her hands chopped off because of, things that
she's never going to come back from that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we need to address the source, and when it starts small, we need to empower those who are in abusive relationships to get help,
to come out and get help.
And the other bit that we need to do as society is to not stigmatize. We often hear parents or people who are married, they're like, marriage is like that, vumilia tu.
Or what did you do to
what did you do? Ulifanya nini? Makosa yako ni nini? We need to start looking at it differently, so that we enable people come out openly to say, I'm suffering, I need help. But if the first question we ask is that ulifanya nini? What did you do? Or you need to persevere, then we will see these cases, because usually people ask for help. They even go to hospital, they get treated. If you go to the police, sometimes they're like, mama, tunaonanga vitu kama hizi mingi, we si wa kwanza. What does that do to the person who is facing violence? And it is worse for men because men are supposed to, nafaa kujikaza kimwanaume. Men are supposed to tough it out.
It's an ego
so
thing.
it becomes difficult for people to say, you know what, I'm being abused, I need help. So we need to make the environment better and conducive for people to seek help so that we do not see this.
For the victim to find a way out, and even for the perpetrator, once you're reported as a perpetrator, not to be immediately judged and condemned, but also seeking a way of understanding what's going on, what's happening, what is this? This is a symptom of something that's going on with you. And that person can then go ahead and probably get the help that they need. Because they are still gonna be alive. They are not killing themselves. They may be taken to jail, whatever kind of punishment is meted on them, but they still need that kind of help if it's a mental health issue. Let's take this short break so we can pivot out of this sad story into other, maybe more uplifting stories, right? At 5 minutes to 7. Good morning.
Online, mobile, and on radio. This is Spice FM.
5 to 7. Well, let's do it. Other headlines, please.
Okay. I know this one is going to take us past 7 o'clock.
So then do it after 7.
Let's do it after 7. Let me just keep your appetites wet.
Yes.
So we look at something else. And that's
Which one was it? Was it going to be a...
Which one is it?
It was going to be an IEBC story. So let's keep it for after 7 o'clock.
Okay.
All right?
Oh, yeah.
Looking at other things that are happening in the country now.
Let me take you to Ruai.
Yep.
Ruai Madhare's quarters seek to seize KBC land. Remember, over the weekend, houses were demolished at night, and we've seen pictures, sad pictures. Actually, when they say a picture speaks 1,000 words, those were the pictures, because people are stranded with heaps of their property, not knowing where to go to next. And we see this is continuing. We started with Komarok. Was it the week before last week?
Kawangware. Or Komarok.
Komarok. It was in Komarok. It was Komarok, yes. The one we spoke to the women
Kariobangi.
Kariobangi. Thank you. So now we're seeing the same, and the question remains the same, being asked by everyone. Is this the time to evict people?
If not now, when?
After the pandemic, when people can get alternative shelters, when people can, be able to observe the curfew of the 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Because you demolish houses at night. Where do you expect these people to go? You have cordoned off the Nairobi metropolitan services. Where do you expect people to go? You can't even run up country because you're not able to sneak, quote unquote, out of the metropolitan services. So is this the right time to do this? You're quiet. You think people should be evicted?
No, I'm just wondering, okay, so is it the right time? And then the other argument is, if not now, when? And then the other argument is, okay, so why the eviction in the first place? The other question is, who's being evicted? At what point are they being evicted? It's a sad tale for somebody to actually get their house demolished at whatever time of the year, right? Whether pandemic or not, whether floods or not, whether it's raining or not, it's not a good time to get evicted at any point in your life. The question which we could also get into is, how then do we effect these acquisitions? If you're saying you're reacquiring your piece of land that had been unprocedurally allocated to somebody else, how do you go about it? And how do you ensure that everybody, gets their dignity at the end of the day.
Give people time to move out.
Give it a minute.
Give people time to move out.
It really is. In
This
this
time
it's not
story,
very
by the way, we'll
difficult.
come back to that discussion again.
And I still
People
stand
are
on the
given
same
time,
thing.
people don't take time. People are given time all the time. People do or not follow the time they are given.
But you see, sometimes with this time, there's a court process ongoing. You have to respect the court process also.
Yeah.
And we know it takes long, it takes time, but at the end of the day, you have to respect the court process.
Okay. Coming to the top of the hour, we'll get into that after the traffic. Today's proverb: a fowl does not forget who trim his feathers during the rainy season. Now, rainy seasons in Africa have always been a difficult period for fowls because it's tough for them to hunt for food while their feathers keep growing. Now, a person will never forget help rendered to them during hard times. This is basically what we're saying. A fowl will never forget the person who trim his feathers in the rainy season. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock. This is the Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Has it changed? Not really. What we see on the roads this morning, a little bit of traffic right around Mombasa Road heading into the where is this place called? Heading into Cabanas and then heading out then past General Motors. That's what we're looking at. On the southern bypass, there was an accident early this morning. So now that's causing some traffic. Approach with caution because we're still waiting for the folks at the emergency services to turn up and the police as well. It's a slow morning, we understand. So hopefully that you will come out and help these folks. It's a fatal accident and a few people are said to have been seriously injured. Traffic in other parts of the city, not too bad. And I know it's going to build up in a bit. We'll be able to give you that information. I expect it to get a bit crazier. So I'll let you know what it looks like. So hang on. Go slow if you can. Spice FM KE, that's us on Twitter. Let us know what you see. We'll spread the word and we'll come back in a bit and let you know what it looks like.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth.
Spice FM KE, you can watch us on Twitter, Spice FM KE, and we are also live streaming on YouTube. Spice FM KE is the channel. Just search for The Situation Room, Tuesday, 19th of May, 2020. So, IEBC.
Okay, so let me just read a little bit of this information before I now engage my mind. Glaring errors raise questions over 2017 polls. Which year are we in?
2020.
2020, 3 years later. Leaders call for reorganization of the IEBC before the 2022 polls. Glaring errors in the results of the August 8th, 2017 general election published on the website of the Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, have kicked up a storm, with leaders calling for a reorganization of the commission before the proposed referendum and the 2022 general election. The commission hurriedly pulled down the results, citing typographical errors, but not before several individuals had accessed the information and spotted inconsistencies. It took 3 years to verify and upload the data. Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waigoro, Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna called for the reorganization of the commission before the referendum. I'm assuming now there will be a referendum for sure. And 2022 general election. Mr. Kilonzo and Mr. Sifuna wondered why the commission could not get its data right in the 3 years, further denting the integrity of the 2017 general elections. The commission erred in the people it declared winners in a number of constituencies and even the political parties that sponsored them. Mr. Kilonzo noted that the abnormalities could be a case of the IEBC's refusal to embrace the election management system, especially the electronic results transmission, and I quote, "What is coming out is unfortunate and lends credence to the doubts of mismanagement of the IEBC. The biggest reform we need in this country are electoral reforms and the IEBC." Now, before you even get into the people throwing and saying things, if there was an error, and if it was this huge data that we are talking about, because it goes across board. Data informs results. Data informs decisions. Now, if your decisions are based on this data and then it turns out that there were errors in the data, then you can only assume that your results were also flawed or wrong. And my question then is, what struck the match? Then the realization came that it was 3 years later only that they were able then to put or get the right information or realize that there was a problem. If we're taking it at face value and saying this is actually what happened, there's a big problem here. That 3 years later you say, oh, we made a few mistakes here and there, folks, but just hang on. We're sorting that out and we're going to give you those. There's no need to panic. We're going to give you those results and there will not be a problem. Really?
There's something bigger in there.
Absolutely.
There's something bigger in there. Because considering it was a highly contested election. And then you're seeing these people, well, there's a lot of concern. I think for me, the one that glaringly said this data was flawed was Suba North MP. Midio Odhiambo, who had 65 votes and vied via ANC. Yet we know where her party is. We know she won the election. So for such an obvious flaw.
Thank you. You've used the word obvious. So what are we talking about here? We are talking about IEBC, okay? We are talking about a body that has managed elections for many years. National general election, by-elections, many years, many elections down the road. Has this happened before? Have they gone onto a website and uploaded data and information that is so glaringly erroneous?
Eric, what are you trying to say?
Why now?
That could be one side of the argument. You could also say that then it is possible, if this has come out now, it's also possible that what they may have put in the past could have been mistakes.
No.
Anybody could jump to that same conclusion.
The people who are alive now
Since
are
we're
alive
in the
then.
exercise of jumping or assuming,
The people who are
that could
alive
also be
now,
done.
who are raising these issues now, were alive then.
Someone like Mutula
Previously-
Kilonzo Jr. has always raised the issue of electoral reform and talking
Electoral
about
reform
the
is
and IEBC itself as
Yes,
a body,
yes.
which had questions always attached to it.
Yes.
He has always been extremely vocal about something like this. They're not just jumping out of the woodwork now and talking about it. Edwin Sifuna himself has been talking about this for the longest
Electoral
time.
reforms, yes, that conversation has always been there, right? And it has been pushed. In fact, if you remember, one of the things about BBI is disbanding the IEBC. And reconstituting the IEBC and having these electoral reforms. We've had electoral reforms over and over and over again. In fact, IEBC itself is electoral reforms. It was initially CCK, it became IIEC, it became IEBC. In other words, we have a new constitution that completely reformed our electoral management system and said, this is how elections are going to be managed.
Ironic, isn't it then?
Constitution, new law, IEBC Act, which establishes the IEBC, electoral reforms. Still, we have been talking about electoral reforms. This is a conversation that doesn't end. And don't expect it to end because now you're talking about IEBC and electoral reforms. It's not going to end. Since we came up with IEBC, right, we had an entire team of electoral commissioners fired. We, the taxpayers, paid heavily to ensure that we are fired. Isaac Hassan and his team. Then we hired these guys, Chebukati and his team. Then, out of Chebukati's team, 4 commissioners have left, throwing in the towel, one going all the way to America and sending statements from America, others calling a press conference at the Stanley and saying, I'm the vice chairman and I no longer feel confident running this body. Others saying, okay, we remain. IEBC director leaving the office. Reforms. We keep talking about IEBC. Then suddenly we have this whole data that is uploaded onto a portal by IEBC officials, and it has such glaring mistakes. At no point in 2017 was Millie Odhiambo indicated by IEBC that she belongs to Mbita, right? They never printed any electoral materials indicating Millie Odhiambo Mbita constituency or Amani, what's it called?
National Congress.
Yes, Amani National Congress. Never. They never declared her the MP for Suba North by mistake and said, oh, the new MP for Suba North is somebody different because Millie Odhiambo did not even vie here. Never. So how is it that now there is data that shows Millie Odhiambo is not in Suba North?
This is the question that is being asked
is
of
the
the
question
IEBC.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
is the question that they're asking. Where has this all come from all of a sudden?
And my conspiracy theory sits in right there.
And say it
That
is.
this whole story is leading us somewhere else. This is not if this is not the data that was there with IEBC in 2017, where has it come from now?
Just say what it is.
And
Just
where
get it
are
off
they
your chest.
taking us now? What it is that they want us to do now?
And what would your idea be? Where is your mind going with this?
This one.
Mm.
This, the headlines, Jubilee, Jubilee. Same boat.
Which is?
That story of BBI, that story of a referendum before 2022, that story of are we going to have an election in 2022 or 2024, same boat.
So I hear you
I
saying
am
this is a
not
red herring.
boarding
I
the
hear you saying this is a red
complete-
herring,
and it is so
and there's
glaring.
no story here.
Give me the brightest shade of red.
Blood red.
That one.
That one.
This is blood red. I am not taking any bit. How can you tell me this kind of
So,
information can be there on
according
IEBC?
to
And
you-
and then somebody uploads it and sorry, it was a mistake. We are going to correct it. How did you make that mistake? Where
3
did you get
years
that?
later.
Where did you get that information? How did Millie Odhiambo get into your database as ANC and Mbita constituency?
I want you to
When
say-
what you have on record is you declared Millie Odhiambo as the MP for Suba North. So where did you get Millie Odhiambo in Mbita constituency? Suddenly from the same records. Somebody is playing games with us.
From the IEBC.
Somebody has infiltrated IEBC. Somebody is playing this whole game with us, and I am absolutely not buying this nonsense. No way. Give me something else. Tell me. The floods are coming from Indian Ocean to Mount Kenya. I will buy. Okay, something as ridiculous as that.
This one, no.
That the river is now Tana River is now flowing backwards. I will buy it. This one.
But, okay, fine.
Tafadhali nipatieni mkate na chapati na chai ya rangi
Na sausage mbili.
na sausage mbili.
No.
Na beer.
His story. I am not there. I know.
So, anyway, apart from your conspiracy theory, the bigger picture here is that knowing how elections in Kenya are important to the constituents, to the populace, to the politicians, it's like for us, elections is everything. We live for the next general election. IEBC should not make any errors. It is one of those bodies that shouldn't make any errors whatsoever.
Yes.
Think of it like this. If you go to a hospital and your blood pressure is checked, then the doctor says you have high blood pressure. It's 200/140, for example. That means you're almost going. Then they start you on medicine. Then a day later, they're like, oh, by the way,
That was a mistake.
that was a mistake. That is how dire this situation is.
It is.
We have high expectations of IEBC. They shouldn't make any obvious mistakes, not at all. And especially in a situation where the elections were, or rather the voting and everything was supposedly digital, where the KIMS kit with your thumbprint and whatever it is, and you do all of those things. Part of it was digital, manual, whatever it is. But we have improved a long way from the Mlolongo system of voting. So for them to come with such mistakes, then it casts doubt on the veracity of everything that came out of the 2017 elections.
I hear you.
Unfortunately.
And I agree completely. The question is this them.
But you see, the thing
is them?
But the problem is, Eric, that the IEBC and its image previously had already been stained.
Of course.
Whether we want to look
By
at it
design.
So,
By design.
But the individuals who entered in, took an oath of office, and you're saying that by design they chose to do the things that they did or alleged to have done?
No, by design, the story is always propagated that IEBC is completely incompetent. When it suits us, it's incompetent. When it doesn't suit us, it's fine. The same IEBC conducts a by-election today, and it's IEBC is fantastic. It has run a perfect election. The same IEBC runs another election 1 week later, and this one, this is the same old IEBC is back. Come on.
But Eric, here we're looking at the 2017 elections.
General election.
Yes.
Yes.
You're looking at the 2017 general election.
Yes.
And the way it was highly contested, it was divisive, and all manner
Presidential
of things.
election.
Yes. But
we did not have a record number of electoral petitions in the other seats.
No, you're not looking at just the petitions.
2012 had more electoral petitions in the other seats than 2017.
No,
so if the same
just base it on
a general election was 6 elections. 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
So MCA, governor, woman rep, senator, MP, president.
Yes.
Presidential election is contested, and it goes to the Supreme Court, and the manner of how it has transmitted elections from the ground to the National Tallying Center is disputed.
Eric, look at it holistically.
The other 5 elections, if you compare the kind of petitions that came in 2017 and the petitions that came in 2012, there's a difference.
So
there was an improvement. There were fewer people complaining in the other 5 elections.
I wouldn't look at it from a petition point of view, because just because people did not petition, for example, doesn't mean they were happy or they were not disgruntled.
No. Those who contest an election, they contest because they are unhappy. True?
Yes.
True.
But the ones who do a petition means, there are many reasons why you could do a petition. One, that you can afford to do a petition. 2, that you do not have any vested interest. Your interests are clearly obvious. 3, that possibly somebody has not come and talked to you, amekuona kando akakwambia nyamazia kanyagie story. So there are many reasons why a petition can happen or cannot happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't look at it from
it's an indicator. We cannot dismiss it.
Yeah, because you did not have as many petitions as the previous election doesn't mean that the election was not contested. Secondly, we know that we put a lot of premium on the presidential election. And even when you look at the other 5 contestants, be it MCA, governor, whatever, everyone will be aligned in a way to a presidential candidate, to a certain way. So if your candidate at the top is disgruntled, all of you down the chain will be disgruntled. And that's what I mean by it was highly contested, because it is not that now it is only those 2 or those 3 at the top, so the rest of us are happy. No, it is all across. So I'm looking at it from a holistic point of view, because in here are people. It's not just systems that are working. So if one of them, if we are casting doubt on one, then the entire data, the entire everything, all the data that comes out of that, for me, I would question it.
It's the same thing if you have a stain on a shirt. It doesn't mean the entire shirt is stained, but your attention is likely to be drawn to that little bit, which has a problem. And unfortunately, with what we've seen that has happened in the past, how many people do you think, Eric, who did not look at it with a conspiratorial eye as you did, looked at this and said, up to its tricks once again, because of what you've seen in the past?
And that's what I'm saying, conditioning by design.
No.
We have been conditioned. We have been conditioned.
We cannot say
I
that
hold
in
this
every,
very dear.
We cannot
the
say
political
that in
class
every,
in this country has interfered with the IEBC, with the
we
electoral
cannot
management
say
body in this
that
country
every
so much that we
era-
have been conditioned to believe that this thing is completely incompetent.
We cannot say-
there is no electoral management body in this country for as long as politicians have a say that will ever have credibility. Never. You'll have credibility today, the same body will lose credibility tomorrow. Yet it has done exactly the same thing both times. Why? Because of the political class. This is the same thing that's happening now. These are politicians trying to condition our minds to start thinking, oh, you see, this IEBC is rotten. Look how glaring these mistakes are. Therefore, it points us back to 2017. You see, and that's why we had BBI, and that's why we needed to come up with, this is BBI story coming back.
Manufacturing consent.
Yes. So when you're saying that no, we need to wipe out everybody in IEBC, we'll already be saying, oh, but of course, look, these people can't even spell my name right. These people don't even know where Uhuru, then next they'll find somewhere where they're saying in some constituency, Uhuru got 15 votes and Amani National Congress. You'll find something like that. Just to try and push us towards thinking that this is what they want us to do. I'm not buying this story. I hear you guys, and I agree that yes, we need to question everything, and that's why I'm questioning and saying, this one, no way. Absolutely no way. We're going to take a short break. Take a look at whether, come back with this conversation, the IEBC, what's happening in the IEBC? Why did they post this completely and glaringly erroneous information on their website and then pull it down? And is it raising the issue of electoral reforms? Do we have electoral reforms? Are we on the path towards achieving a clear and a clean electoral management body in the country? Good morning. 19 minutes after 7.
In some parts of Nairobi, the sun peeking through, however. At 13 degrees, we'll see it go to a high of 25 today and come down to lows of 12. Nyeri at 14 degrees is clear and sunny this morning. It's likely to be rainy in the evening and carry on well into tomorrow morning. Nakuru at 14 degrees, clear skies this morning, highs of 25. However, it'll be rainy in the afternoon, coming down to lows of 13. Eldoret is clear with periodic clouds this morning at 14. We'll see highs of 23 with showers in the evening that will take us well into Wednesday morning. 20 degrees in Kisumu and mostly cloudy with some rains later in the afternoon. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 19. Mombasa is mostly cloudy at 25. Showers expected later with highs of 27 and lows of 23. Malindi is warm this morning at 26 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 24. We will see showers in the afternoon. We'll see Kampala partly cloudy conditions at 19 degrees. Thunderstorms expected in the afternoon with highs of 26 and lows of 19. And in Dar es Salaam this morning at 24 degrees, it's mostly cloudy. Showers expected soon with highs of 25 and lows of 22. Johannesburg at 9 degrees is clear skies this morning with highs of 21 and a go down to chilly lows of 7. Lagos this morning is mostly cloudy at 27 degrees. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 26. And we'll let you know what the rest of the cities look like in a short while.
So we are discussing the independence electoral and okay, Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Again, a recap of our story, Ndu.
Right.
What has happened?
Wrong results 3 years later is what we see now. So if the results were put up and that is what was being posted and then they were taken down, apparently what happened is that they erred in the people it declared winners in a number of constituencies and even the political parties that sponsored them. The abnormalities could be a case of the IEBC's refusal to embrace the election management system, especially the electronic results transmission. The IEBC only has 3 members right now, the chairman, Wafula Chebukati, and commissioners Boya Molu and Abdi Guliye. The EMS, according to the election laws enacted ahead of 2017, provided that it's audited once after a year, meaning this data should have been out by August 2018. Mm-hmm. So this data that was then erroneously put on the website should have actually been put up in August 2018, but has happened now in May 2020. So, for example, Mbita is still mentioned as a constituency despite the IEBC having renamed and gazetted it as Suba North. Millie Odhiambo was announced as Suba North MP on an ODM ticket. The data that was pulled down shows that she contested on an ANC ticket and got a paltry 65 votes. The data shows that Noah Odhiambo got the highest number of votes, 27,000, on an ODM ticket. Eve Akinyi Obara is the current ODM MP for Kasipul Kabondo, but the IEBC data shows that Sylvance Osele is the MP on an ODM ticket. The data shows that Obara contested on a Jubilee ticket and managed only 69 votes. Obara succeeded Obara, her husband. All right. In Dagoretti South, former Dennis Waweru is listed as the winner in 2017 on a Jubilee party ticket. John Kiarie, the Jubilee MP, whom the IEBC declared the winner, is listed as having managed 12,000 votes as an independent candidate.
Tell me.
Good grief. How is it possible that all of this, it just seems like a mess
Exactly.
all through and through?
For instance, we know John Carrier is the MP for Dagoretti South, declared by IEBC.
And the same IEBC comes then and says something
declared
later,
by
3 years
IEBC.
later.
And under which party? Jubilee. We know that the MP for Suba North is
Millie
Millie
Odhiambo.
Odhiambo,
And we
declared
know
by...
that Mbita is no longer a constituency.
And Mbita is not a constituency. They even had a mistake of Kibra. They say the late Kibra MP Ken Okoth had not won that election. He only got 5,996 votes in Kibra in 2017, and he was beaten by Judah Martin, who had 66,914 votes. Yet we know that Ken Okoth was declared winner by IEBC in 2017. So IEBC has information that shows these are the winners, these are the constituencies. I mean, these are the candidates in this constituency, and this is the person that we have declared winner. And we've even given a certificate declaring them winner, right? And then suddenly, this data that has been sitting in their servers for the last 3 years comes out, and it has completely different information. First of all, the timing of the uploading of this data. It is being uploaded on Saturday. This past Saturday, right? Since 2017, it was uploaded last week. Then this kind of glaring, it's not those constituencies and MPs who are, not even popular. We are picking the people who you clearly know. Come on, even if I don't know Millie Odhiambo, I know Suba North MP Millie Odhiambo. I know that. I mean, it comes out flawlessly from my mouth. Dagoretti South MP John Kerry. Then you're saying that John Kerry was an independent candidate and he lost the election to Dennis Wawero, who was a Jubilee candidate. Surely.
Look, I'm not going to lie. All of this just seems a bit suspect, especially with what we've seen happening in Senate proceedings and this, that, the other. It seems that, there's a rat somewhere for sure. However, we can't take a look at all the infighting that was happening at the IEBC. This person resigning, that person asked to step down, this drama all over the place. Who running away because, decided to protect her life and decided to go to another country and take refuge there. This, that, the other thing. We can't divorce ourselves from the fact that within the IEBC already,
we have to look at it
holistically.
In the pot.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. We have to look at all of it collectively and saying, all right, the house already had a stench.
Yes.
All right. It doesn't help that all of these things are coming out now.
No. Yes.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help the image in one way or another. While we are looking at it holistically, it then also behoves us to look at it then and to pick it apart with a fine-tooth comb and say, all right, as much as there's something going on, there's a rat in the kitchen, okay? As much as that is going on, could it be that there's some foul play here? And I hear what you're saying loud and clear. Somebody somewhere wants to taint this image even further and say, look, we've not liked the way in which these folks have operated in the past, so let's remove them completely, and we'll only be happy when an individual who is there running the things the way we want them to will be there. That is when we will be satisfied. That one we have to look at for sure. But like I said, you have to look at the whole picture and say, has the IEBC been serving the role for which it was instituted in the beginning?
I beseech you to also look at it this way.
Is it possible? for us to look at it like that.
When
And I'm saying, yes, here there could be some foul play. Please understand. I'm saying, yes, there could be some foul play here because I don't believe in coincidence. Things just don't happen like that out of the blue. And you ask yourself, okay, really, it could have been in January. Or it could have been in September last year where they realized there could have been a problem. For results which they should have posted in August 2018. And then suddenly they're being posted in May 2020, a week 3 days after we've seen a debacle in Senate, we've seen we've seen parties trying to merge, we've seen other things trying to happen, and basically the way government does its business
Corona
about to
only
change.
Paused reggae.
So then you have to ask yourself the question: what on earth is really going on?
What was the official reason for posting this online on a Saturday?
Oh, of course, there was no official reason. We did it on Saturday because there was no official reason. We didn't even hear that they had posted. We heard when they had taken it down.
No, they tweeted to say that they've posted.
Yeah?
They tweeted to say that they've posted. And then they tweeted to say that we have
removed
after,
it. Yeah.
Some errors occasioned by the fact that we have massive data that we are uploading at the same time.
Right. Wait. What massive data we are uploading at the same time?
See, what you heard, this gives credence to the fact of what Eric was saying. You heard Mbita MP, you heard that. But there was a lot more that was Ori. There were so many other results that didn't make sense to people. This is why they said the massive data that they were uploading in terms of what should have been and what was not. They could attribute it to a glitch in the system. They could have said, bandwidth was low, and so things now started going
If it was one mistake,
amok.
you could say, okay, so clearly there's something that went wrong here. We are looking at previously this constituency was called Mbita, or previously she was Mbita MP, or you can say previously Dennis Wawero and KJ had contested, and they're, different parties in 20. This is a mix-up of the 2012 and no, man, these are too many mistakes. And I look at it, and I was telling you, also, when you see this kind of stuff happening now, and look at all those bad apples in this basket, ask yourself, have these bad apples always been bad? Has it always been conditioned to us that this thing is rotten? Has there been somebody who's basically just throwing in the wrong rat in this particular boat every new day? And every day we're just smelling there's something stinking in here, and all of you are stinking. Somebody just sits there and throws it in. This we're being played all along. This clearly, clearly
is all right.
This shows
all right.
This is evidence to me that IEBC has never been independent, has not been independent since it was first established in the Constitution. This is not an independent electoral commission.
So are you
This is a
saying then that
manipulated
even if it
electoral
was
commission.
reorganized, everybody was removed and new individuals were put in, it still would not make a difference?
As long as you don't identify that guy who keeps throwing the dead rat.
In this case, it's a live rat.
You will,
it's not
yes.
dead, this rat.
And it's stinking like this. It's a skunk. As long as you don't know where this skunk keeps coming from, we will not have a problem. We will not change anything. We removed Isaac Hassan and his entire team, brought in a new team, and no sooner had they taken office than we started saying this team is wrong.
But here we have the commissioners, then we have the secretariat.
Yep.
What you usually do is remove the
commissioners.
But who does the work?
The secretariat.
Yeah.
And they still stay there.
And they still, whoever comes in and goes out, they are still there.
They're skunk.
So if I wanted to infiltrate, those are the people I will look at.
Okay, let's see. Is it actually smelling? No. All right. It doesn't. Wait. Terribly bad on Thika Road. It be like say they smell. Eric, don't talk say traffic they smell. It don't they smell well. Okay. Drunk drivers, then don't drink finish, enter Thika Road. Don't listen. Una no go here. Say make una not drink as una they drive. Accident don't come happen for Thika Road. We no go pass again. Jam day, you not fit enter town. Not fit come up from town. Now Thika Road, they look you so like this so. Now, okay, Mombasa Road be like say not too bad, from Cabanas as we don't go reach General Motors. But as you pass General Motors like this, you fit enter town. No ahala. It be like say everywhere else they can't pay. No ahala. So after Thika Road, you don't do past Mombasa Road. No ahala day. As you even see sun dey shine for Wayaki way self. If you drive your car, see sun dey shine. No, Allah. Spice FM KE, now you go fit use Twitter, reach us. We go pass message, reach everywhere. Thank you.
No, holiday. Motor they move.
You pass General Motors like this, you go fit enter town.
Enter town.
No ahala.
No, hala.
Okay.
Wayake way you go see sun.
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
If you see sun, they shine as you they go because traffic not there.
No day.
So, what is the Makueni Senate saying about this?
He says that IEBC this is what we see now, and he's essentially saying that this is the problem. And I'm going to quote what he said. What is coming out is unfortunate and lends credence to the doubts of mismanagement at the IEBC. The biggest reform we need in this country are electoral reforms and the IEBC. He also went on to say that it currently lacks both legality in that its membership has not been revamped after its vice chair and some commissioners left. More importantly, it lacks across the board political legitimacy due to, among other things, disputes amongst its senior ranks. And this was a Kirinyaga governor, Anne Waiguru, who said this, that they lack political legitimacy. Edwin Sifuna then goes on to say that the current commissioners should not be in office now. They cannot be trusted with an electoral process. They deliberately decided not to follow the law. So everybody is basically saying, and Kilonzo is wondering why the commission could not get its data right in the 3 years, further denting the integrity of the 2017 general election.
There we go.
Yep. What I was asking. 3 years later, really, you had a whole 3 years. Okay, let's say even 2 years to clean up.
You can proofread
to do your data
many ways.
Even if it's cooking, whatever it is, there was all the time to do all of that.
Yep. You can align what you have with the reality. And yet, what you're actually doing, you've gone the other way completely. Let's look at IEBC, all right? So after the 2007 general election, post-election violence, peace accord, we bring a gentleman from South Africa called Justice Johan Kriegler, and we tell him, come and audit our electoral system. In fact, audit the 2007 election and tell us what happened, who won that election. Kriegler and his team come and tell us, hey, things were so wahala that it is impossible to tell who won that election. Impossible to tell who won the election. Everybody who was participating in that election had manipulated the IEBC, the CCK then, right? You'd find that in areas where it was PNU stronghold, over 100% of voters had turned up to vote. 103% had voted. And all of them had voted for Mwai Kibaki. In areas that were ODM strongholds, over 100% of voters had turned up. And all of them had voted for Raila Odinga. It was all these glaring mistakes. So Kriegler was like, it's impossible. However, we recommend going forward that you institute several measures, and this will be the electoral reforms. Focus on this to safeguard future elections. This report forms part of the working of the Committee of Experts on Constitution Review that gives us a draft in 2010. And in it, in the entire chapter on elections and election management, they create the IEBC. In fact, they say now this will be the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And this is how it shall operate. And there shall be a statute enacted by Parliament to manage IEBC, another one to manage elections, another one to manage referenda, all those things. And institute electoral reforms. We have heard here from people that we've hosted on this show telling us the Kriegler report, only some aspects of it have been instituted and taken up into law. Many other aspects have not. Same political class is the one that works on these laws. All right? We make a lot of noise First of all, we remove Kivoito, then we bring Isaac Hassan, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. At that time, they were interim. They give us the referendum of 2010. We hail them. We're like, these guys. You see, Kivoito could not do what Isaac Hassan and his team have done. In fact, let's give them the job full-time. Let them run the next election. They ran the 2002 election. Isaac Hassan must go. Isaac Hassan and his team out. We bring in Chebukati, a new team. In fact, we're bringing in experts, people who have worked in the UN bodies from America. Come. Mrs. Nkatha, you're experienced in it. Come. Everybody. Now we have good people. If even Chebukati is a man who is calm. He's a calm demeanor. He's a good manager. He qualifies to be a judge of the Superior Court of the Republic of Kenya. Now, what have we been talking about? Chebukati must go. Here we are. Chebukati must go, has come back. We need to reconstitute the IEBC. Same story.
So
We
when
are
will
removing, we're in the same forest, different monkeys. We're just saying,
No, I think it's the same monkeys, man.
different. This is a velvet monkey, remove the velvet monkey, bring the, which other monkey? Same monkeys.
Colibus.
Colobus
Okay.
monkey. Monkey, the monkey. The mumu, same mumu. Olodo. Same. Telling us here, electoral reforms and IEBC. I am absolutely not buying this thing.
Look, so when is it going to be all right? When is it going to be okay? When will you have an IEBC that actually functions and people will be all right with it? So what you're saying, and we go back to what the decision that the people will actually make. For what you're saying, that so long as, I'm just going to pull the words out of your mouth, so long as politicians continue to manipulate the IEBC, we will never have an IEBC that is satisfactory across board.
Yes. Yes.
So I hear you saying then if politicians are out of the game, that's when you'll have an IEBC, then that works.
We are likely to head there.
But it's going to be hard to have
In
politicians
reality,
out of
Players,
Yeah.
In reality,
because
players
how is
cannot
that
choose the
ever
umpire.
going to work?
But you
Players
see,
how is it
cannot
ever gonna
choose.
work?
Players cannot pick a referee.
But you just said politicians at the end of the day are the same people who will, enact certain laws or make sure certain things happen. That unfortunately, we have to deal with them.
Yep.
We cannot do away with them.
Yep.
So here, in my opinion, is then if we get politicians who have the interest of the people at heart. I know it's very funny.
Go on.
If one day, I know
It's an oxymoron
I
of
know.
many words, right?
Yes.
If-
Politicians who care about the people. Okay.
No, there's some politicians who care about the people. Look at
There
Singapore.
are some politicians.
Look at
Oh, I
Singapore.
thought we were still talking about Kenya.
No.
Okay.
We're looking at the grand
globe.
scheme of
Okay,
things.
got it.
We're looking, we are benchmarking.
Global best practice.
Exactly. So when you have politicians with the interest of the people, then some things can happen.
Yep.
So until we get to that point, unfortunately, the crop of people that we have will always want certain bodies, IEBC, for example, and it's anybody, any commission in this country, even judiciary, anywhere, they'll always want it to play to their tune because it will favor them while they are in that office and for whatever purpose they want at that particular point in time.
Yep.
So until a point where either we as the citizens are fed up and we get to a point where enough is enough, unfortunately, we just have to complain, see certain data like this come up with glaring mistakes, which the IEBC just call a few typographical errors.
Here and there.
Here and there. We've pulled it down because of a few typographical errors. I thought that was, anyway. Yeah. So we are in it for the long haul. I don't see us getting anywhere because when you think you have made some reforms and some progress, then comes in something that takes you 10 steps back while you had made 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So you never move. You never move.
And the unfortunate bit is that we keep getting played. That's why I get pissed off when I see, like there's some people who, like carrying as babies or like carrying as pumpkin. And the latest one, they're carrying as popo.
Or carrying us
Kutubeba malenge. Right? Clearly, when something like this is taken and coincidentally it's published on a website, and coincidentally, so many people are already looking at it on a Saturday, mind you, but people have time to go and scour through this data and pick out this anomalies immediately, right? Within hours. Pick out the anomalies and highlight the anomalies. And this, reaches such a crescendo that the IEBC itself, within a few hours, pulls down that information. How many other things does IEBC publish on a regular basis onto their website? Are you telling me that people will always go and look at that information? And now that they have said, okay, we've published the 2017 election results on a Saturday, suddenly everybody has gone and picked out all these mistakes at the same time, and it has become a headline. This is all, to me, there's a game afoot.
There's a game here.
If you want me to participate and cheer in this game, nipatie kitu kidogo. Toa ya macho. All right?
Who now? You, Eric.
Yeah. If they want me to buy and, be part of the cheering squad, it's okay. Lakini toa ya macho.
They should facilitate you to
Facilitate me. I'll accept. Until then, I am not buying.
We can look at the whole conspiracy and all of that. But if we look at the ways in which a country should be run, and if we look at things like elections into which Kenya will be plunged in the next 2 or so odd years, it's necessary then to have a body, number one, that the electorate can trust. And it is also as important to have those who participate in an election, not from the voting point of view, but for those who are seeking for, election into seat, that they can also have somebody that they can trust. Now, we understand that the key of manipulation is often turned many, many times in this keyhole that is the IEBC. We understand that. And anybody would be stupid to say that doesn't exist, blind even, to say that doesn't exist. But it is necessary to have a body that the people can trust. It is necessary to have a body that those who put themselves up for contest can trust. Yeah. If you have a tainted image, it is then very, very difficult for you to go forward and say, all right, we're going to have an election and it will not be flawed. The whole thing of IEBC and electoral reforms has been taking place ever since. I mean, like you said, we've imported expertise and genius to come in and sort out those issues, and it has never happened to date. And it is actually quite sad that we've gone through so many election cycles over the last 20 years in Kenya, and still you can often always point to the IEBC as having some kind of fault. Whether that fault has been manufactured or not, it still lies at the helm of the IEBC, all right? And to say that it is the politicians who are involved who are going to fix it would be like asking yourself to go out for a sunny picnic on a rainy day. It's not going to happen. You can't. You will not be able to survive. So is it necessary to have reforms that actually are reforms? Absolutely. And I keep saying the person who's going to lead a country like Kenya or any other country towards better is the person who is going to come in with a reform agenda. Across board.
Yeah.
Development, politics, political processes such as elections. The person who is going to be able to lead Kenya from one point to the next, or any other country that we want to look at, in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, is the person who is going to come in with deep, deliberate and focused reforms. Without that, we're going to continue seeing this kind of circuses every now and then. You're going to see, can you imagine something as ridiculous as saying that data results from an election that happened 4 years ago, 3 years ago, is then being posted in a newspaper or on a website in the same week as you see Senate proceedings that saw opposition leaders being kicked out. There's no such thing as coincidence when it comes to things like this. But I think we need to look at the bigger picture here.
At the same time,
agitation needs to take place.
Referendum law has been published.
Exactly. Agitation needs to take place. Agitation needs to happen for some kind of change. Otherwise, we're going to laugh at such things and say, oh my goodness, can you believe what they did in May 2020? And then we go into 2022, have another election, 2025. Someone's going to come up with some ridiculous nonsense.
We will do the same. And we'll be so pissed off at the IEBC of 2022 that we'll fight. We'll kill each other. We'll not kill them. We'll kill each other. Because we're mad at what the IEBC has done. Again, we've had politicians who've sat here. We've had Suleiman Shabal, the man who ran for governor of Mombasa in 2 elections. And he was telling us he has discovered that you win the election way before the ballot. There is not one on the ballot day. It's one at the counting. And clearly.
As Kenyans keep on joking and saying, it doesn't matter who casts the vote, but who counts the vote. And also, it's just not just at the point of counting, but we also see this process from the point of vetting and verifying and giving a go-ahead to candidates. There are candidates who we know they're obviously flawed.
Yeah.
But they get a clearance from EACC, they even have a certificate of
KRA,
good conduct, KRA.
CID.
And these people have cases. Then the excuse is that, there's a court case ongoing. They have not been found guilty or whatever it is.
Chapter 6 is silent on some things.
So you see, we find excuses to go around all of this. But right from the point of vetting to the point of counting, all those processes matter. And if possibly we had more stringent measures at the vetting point, then we would drop a lot of the flawed politicians that eventually make it into the into Parliament, into houses of Parliament, and possibly then if we have some good apples making it in there, then maybe, just maybe, we may start having some reforms.
True, but we can't see the kind of repetition in bad management that we've been seeing over and over and over again.
Something's got to change.
I mean, something has got to change. It can't be that with every election there's some finger pointing at the IEBC. I mean, for as long as I've been here, it has been. There's an election problem, there's a flaw, IEBC.
Kivuitu must
Another
go.
It started with
Hassan
Sami
must
Kivuitu,
go.
and then it went to Hassan, and then
Chebukati must go.
and then unfortunately in the
next
middle of all of it, somebody is
Chebukati.
even murdered, for crying out loud,
Yep.
at the IEBC. Really, it cannot be that every election cycle that the fingers are pointed at IEBC. Like I said, if you see somebody with a beautiful shirt and you see a tiny stain, your eye is going to stick on the stain and not on the beautiful shirt. It's going to be flawed because of that small stain. And if you're going to look at reform, it has to be holistic and everything. Don't have a reason for somebody to point a finger at you. Let it be clearly evident to everybody who looks and says, actually, you know what? This really then is not them. Because what you're saying could be true. But because of the fact that there's already a tainted image, people are going to say, oh, right, it could be conspiracy. Somebody could have posted something there. But guess what? The image was never squeaky clean before. Now, was it? Do you see the problem?
It wasn't. It's just bringing us back to that point of remember these guys? Remember what we were talking about in 2017? See.
You see? This is what we were saying. You see now?
They can't even type.
They can't even grammatical errors. They don't even know that Mbita is no longer a constituency, for crying out loud.
And they're the ones.
And they're the ones.
And
They
they're the
are
ones
the
who made
ones
it.
who create constituencies. And they don't even know. Come on. How can we have meaningful reforms, electoral reforms in Kenya? That's a question that we'd like to ask. 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. How can we have meaningful electoral reforms in the country? So let's buy this. Let's buy what whatever the agenda they're pushing. And the agenda is let's have reforms at the IEBC. We all agree that we need to have reforms at the IEBC. Okay? But now we need to take over this process from them.
We being
the electorate.
people. Right.
We the people
We are
need to
like
take
the
over we the people need to take over this process from the politicians who seem to be driving it to their own selfish end, with their own selfish agenda. How can we take over this process? How can we finally have meaningful electoral reforms in this country? And I start by saying, as long as the player is there choosing the referee, that game is going to be skewed.
I think it's, there's something, there's an empowering factor in the person who would be below you knowing some information and making it clear that they know, right? So if you're going to look at the electorate, because oftentimes the electorate is seen as down here without actually realizing that the electorate, in most cases, has the power to either put you in, let's assume that things are going in an ideal manner, has the power to either put you in or remove you. I mean, if you look at the 2002 elections in Kenya, they were not necessarily voting in Kibaki. They were voting out Moi. This is what the people did, right? So in that case, you could see the power that people had to make something. There was a wave and it came. The winds of change blew and people could actually see we're going in a certain direction. Now, there's something that is disempowering for you as an individual when you've maybe done something wrong or going in a wrong direction, knowing that the person below you knows. Do you see what I mean? And if people make it known that they are aware of what you're doing as an individual, the likelihood of you to repeat this over and over again actually decreases. So oftentimes, unfortunately, and what I see is that Kenyans are not in a position to let politicians know that, you know what, we know what you're doing and we know what you're up to. we just kind of take it. Kenyans just kind of take it sitting down.
This is not your game.
I mean, just take it sitting down. All right. So this is what you've done. Okay, fantastic. And then you even laugh at things. Ha ha. Okay, this is great. This is what has happened. Okay, 2022. Let's sit and watch the drama all over again. But I think that channels need to be used. Platforms need to be used a lot more for people to know, for individuals to put it across there. And then you find that it's like a bubble. When a pot of water is boiling, it starts with one bubble. It affects the next, and it affects the next until the entire pot is bubbling. But if nobody is bubbling, you're going to have stagnant water. So if nobody is talking about the fact that they're aware of these things, that we know that we actually have an opportunity and a responsibility to put people in government who will be accountable. And we know that when this is not happening and you actually speak up about it, that's, I think, in one place where change actually begins to happen. But this continual thing of keeping quiet and letting people sway you in one direction by the power of what they put in your pocket, that's when the difficulty continues to get even worse. But I think that is one way to get through this, that people will actually begin to speak up. Because the silence is an avenue through which people can continue to lord their power over you. You keep quiet, they see it, okay, these people actually don't know what we're doing, or don't know even now what they want or what they're talking about. Whereas the people know. The people know. But if you keep quiet, it seems as if you're powerless.
Yep. You just, it's like you've accepted. Rolled over and said, okay.
The IEBC will always be
Let
corrupt.
it go on.
Politicians will always do what they want to do, and we've accepted it. Have you accepted it? Have Kenyans accepted it? That's the question.
There are comments on Twitter. Kingston S. McRae says, Eric, today your view about IEBC competence is completely distorted. I think you're hatching a conspiracy yourself. When a person or body is incompetent, such errors bound to occur. Simple. In Kenya, those with state machinery pull the strings. Now, there's incompetence, and then there's this. Surely, Kingston, really, even the most incompetent could not have placed Eric Ken Okoth as the loser in an election, or even place one candidate in a completely different constituency.
But you know, where there's incompetence, it makes it easy for state machinery to manipulate. Because if you're competent in what you do, then chances are, even if there's state machinery on your neck, you would be like, you know what? If you want to do it, come and do it yourself.
Yeah.
But we are in a country where people don't resign. Resigning is a sign of weakness. For
death.
Yeah,
death.
We've had people say, I'd rather die than resign, really. So I think for anyone who's competent, then resigning is not a problem when you're under pressure to do something that is not right. But here we are in a situation where you're probably a political stooge in some position, or you're there to represent some interest. You're already tainted from the minute that you're getting into any position.
Yep.
So when you get there, when the master calls, you answer. You jump.
You have.
They say jump.
How high?
Exactly. So it becomes those two. You cannot divorce those two from each other: incompetence and the ease of manipulation.
Teddy is calling in from Nairobi. Good morning, Teddy. Good morning.
Yeah. Okay. It's so unfortunate to see that, but have something that we can reason. Like, Eric, where you're working right now, you're employed.
Yes, I am.
But there's someone behind the scenes who is making sure that the show is doing well. Then that person reports to somebody else.
Yeah.
So there are some people that are not dealing with them directly. The same applies to IEBC. And there's a Swahili saying that says, ukiona mzee Kobe ameinama anatunga sheria. So like us, we are suffering right now. We are complaining, but there's somebody behind the scene trying to maybe see how we can manipulate our minds. So what can we do to deal with this thing? First of all, to identify who is that person that we don't know. And that person cannot be a fool, cannot be anyone in the IBC. It must be someone who's in a very big seat. So you can see somebody like our generation. There's a generation that doesn't know about Moi generation. they don't know how people suffered. So that is an advantage for us. And the people who can maybe drive this motion is you, Eric Latif, Nduoko, and other people who can just tell people we need to sober up. And you deal with the generation, that the younger generation, other than always complaining. But because when we sit back, these people, they dance to our music.
Yeah, true.
We are going to dance to their music.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the people who are supposed to change all of this shit, is us, the younger generation, 40s and below. And I can tell you for sure, if we continue complaining, these people, they'll still have some breakthrough and
They enjoy.
win.
You complain
Yeah,
from the
like
periphery, well, they still run the show.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that's why you have diverse, different types of dances. You have break dance. So there are people who cannot dance break dance. So these people, they enjoy their dance. But us, we are not enjoying their dancing.
Yeah. Thank you very
So now
much,
we
Teddy.
have to- yeah,
Asante
to create
sana.
our own dance.
Asante sana. We create our own dance, indeed.
Yeah,
Thank you very
we
much,
deal with
Teddy.
them.
Thank you. The conversation continues on our social media handles as well. Spice FM KE on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also post your comments on YouTube as well. Is there a political push to disqualify the current IEBC? Is there a political push to disband the IEBC? Just reminding you of today's proverb. And today's proverb, African proverb, says, a fowl does not forgive who trim his feathers, does not forget who trim his feathers during the rainy season. A fowl does not forget who trim his feathers during the rainy season. A fowl does not forget who came to his aid during the rainy season. Same thing happens. When you're down, you always remember who came to assist you. Good morning. It's a Situation Room, 8 o'clock.
Wow. Okay. Southern bypass. If I talk am for people, I no go understand wetin I talk. So make I talk am for English, so make una hear am very well. A car seems to have flown off the bypass and has landed on a couple of houses on the southern bypass. That's why we see the traffic that we see on the southern bypass in and outbound. It's not moving, and it's quite the thing as you get then towards Kibera. So that's a problem there. And at the same time, a lorry has also then slammed into a number of vehicles. So look, it's a bit of a mess there. It's already giving me a headache having to think about it. So you want to approach with caution in that particular area, I beg, because it can get pretty ugly at this point. Okay, let's go back, because everybody don't enter road for Thika Road. It is bad. Bumper to bumper situation. Trying to get into the city is not happening at all. So as we talked on before, Mombasa Road, Southern Bypass, Thika Road, everywhere, don't jam finish. So I don't know if we want to talk again. Spice FM KE. Call us. No, don't call us. Tweet us on Twitter. Yes.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Huu ni mpaka wa Tanga. Sisi wakuu wa mikoa wa maeneo haya na vyombo vyetu vya ulinzi na usalama ndani ya mpaka huu uko chini ya mamlaka yetu. Na kama kutakuwa na maelekezo ya serikali, basi yatatolewa na serikali. Lakini kwa sasa hivi kama mkoa ambao tumekabidhiwa sisi kumanage na kulinda mpaka wetu, hatuwezi.
Haya, nipe nikupe ndio mtindo wa kisasa. Translate that please in pidgin.
Abego.
No give me, no give you.
You not give me, I not give you. Wait till you talk again. After that, what did he say?
Oh, that song by the Twins.
Which one?
You do me, I do you. This is it. That's
Man no go vex. Kind of the same thing, actually.
That's it.
So this
is the Tanga Provincial Commissioner, Martin Shigela, Tanga in Tanzania. And he was speaking at the Lunga border. Remember, after the closure of Kenya's border to Tanzania on Saturday, and the order and the directive by the president and the government that every truck driver entering Kenya from TZ must undergo compulsory COVID-19 test. There have been queues upon queues at the border crossings. This is at Lunga. This is at Taveta Holili. At Namanga, same things happening at Isebania, and even getting into Uganda, same things happening. Now, because of that closure of borders, I think Tanzanians are smarting over it, and the PC went to Tanga and he said, look, any truck that comes from Kenya, all right, gets to our border, offload it, you Kenyan truck, go back to Kenya. We pick our goods, they come. However, if that truck, the final destination is not just Tanzania, is a foreign national, let's say a Burundian, a Rwandese, and they're crossing here to go all the way to their country, to Rwanda, as long as they are nationals of those countries, allow them to pass. So a Kenyan taking goods to Rwanda will not pass. Let's get it right. A Kenyan, you're taking goods to Rwanda, you're taking goods to Burundi, you're taking goods to other countries in the hinterland, you cannot pass. If you are a citizen of those countries, yes, you'll be allowed to pass. So this is basically saying, you Kenyans, after all, in fact, we've tested you. Since Saturday when I came here, I ordered that we test these drivers. 19, can you believe it? 19 Kenyan truck drivers have tested positive of COVID. They are the ones who are bringing COVID to our country. Yet our president has done so much to contain COVID in Tanzania. So,
but if
national tiff ensuing.
But if you look at two things. One, yesterday the Chief Administrative Secretary, Dr. Rashid Aman, said 53 truck drivers tested positive for the virus. 51 were Tanzanians and 2 Burundi nationals. And the 51 Tanzanians, he said, all were referred back to Tanzania. So Tanzania is just doing the same thing that Kenya is doing.
It's a tit for tat.
Exactly. Now, when you go to Busia, it is the same thing. This is health officials in Busia County are concerned over a decision by the Uganda government to send back Kenyan truck drivers exhibiting coronavirus symptoms. Now, the Busia County Health and Sanitation Chief Officer, Dr. Isaac Omeri, yesterday expressed displeasure at the actions of the Ugandan authorities. So, it's the same thing that's happening in Uganda on this other side. Kenya is doing the same thing. And according to Dr. Omeri, repatriating drivers who test positive for the virus like Uganda is doing is wrong. The drivers are supposed to be treated in the country where they were discovered to be positive after undergoing the test. So here we are seeing a situation where Uganda is sending you back your truck drivers who've tested positive. Kenya is sending back truck drivers to Tanzania who've tested positive. So it seems like, it's about nationalism. Kila mtu akae na shida yake. If we find your truck drivers are positive, handle your issues. If we find them on this other side, we send them back, handle your issues. So for me, I don't see where the tiff is if
I think the
people
tiff
are
here-
doing the same thing.
The tiff here is the difference between what Kenya and Uganda are doing is that Uganda has not barred trucks crossing over into Uganda. All right? Even with the president's directive of closing the border, he was saying it's okay. Those trucks can come in. If a driver tests negative, they can cross over and come into the country. If they test positive, then they need to be quarantined and treated and, in their country before they cross over. So you'll only come in if you're negative. Tanzania does not care. Positive, negative, whatever. Even the truck itself, we don't even need
Not
to test.
coming.
Even the truck will not cross this border.
So what if we reinvent and rethink? I mean, this is the era of COVID where we are rethinking things. If that is the case, then can the Kenyan truck drivers drive the truck to the border, and a Tanzanian counterpart picks the truck on that side and continues?
That's what the Tanzanians are saying.
Yeah.
Only for Kenyans, though.
Goods that-
Anybody else within the East African region that can go through.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
the
So
rest-
it's
the rest can
clearly
go
that
through.
Tanzania is sticking it to Kenya in this
It's
case.
fine. I mean, if all you need is your goods to
But
move,
that's a
just
huge-
find out.
that's a logistical nightmare.
Why is it
No.
a logistical nightmare?
You
In any case,
you need shunting
several
space.
drivers.
That thing needs to happen at the no man's land there at the border
Yeah.
town, right? You
Yeah.
need shunting space so that this truck can come in reverse and then you offload an entire truck.
No.
From
Don't
here
offload the truck. You can
onto the next
decontaminate.
one.
You can decontaminate the
They
truck.
don't want the truck.
That's what they're saying.
No.
They don't want the truck.
Shigella
Okay.
is saying this, that you don't, is that his name? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Shigella.
We
Materi.
don't want anything
Crossing.
K something.
And even before that,
Don't
on
cross.
Sunday, another administrator was speaking at another border point. I think it was near Namanga. Was saying the same thing. Was saying, in fact, umebeba shehena umetoka Kenya, unakuja kuleta Tanzania, mizigo yako ifike hapa, ipekuzwe, load onto a Tanzanian truck. Let our Tanzanian guys come and pokea this mizigo from at the border, and then we go with the mizigo back. Now, can you imagine what you're talking about? Bring in, offload, transfer goods from this truck onto that truck, so that now those ladies can go back. Eventually, it would be nothing major,
Organize
but
those logistics.
but can you imagine
Organize.
what are we saying?
Organize. It will be a new way of doing
You're going to
things
have
in
traffic
life.
for days. We're not even talking about traffic for hours, traffic for days. By the time one truck is offloaded, they move. The next one. You're going to have lines and lines,
Or-
which is already what I think is being
It's
experienced.
job creation at
Right
the border
now.
towns.
Or alternatively, employ Burundians, Malawians
But I think
to transport.
I think
or
right.
expand your
As long
your
as-
trade routes to Malawi and Burundi and all of those other countries.
Sure,
so
but
that
above the logistics of it all, I think it's clear what the sovereignty message is here. Everybody protecting their own state sovereignty
Kakwenuwas.
and saying, you know what, this is what you're telling us. We don't need to deal with it. Now, it's very interesting that this comes about 10 days after the East African heads of state met, and Tanzania did not attend this meeting.
Yeah.
And whether they chose to or not is still left for speculation. But there were certain agreements that were made amongst the heads of state, and they said, and this was specifically for COVID and how we're going to continue to operate amongst ourselves when it comes to trade, right? Because within the EAC, these are biggest trading partners. This business happens all the time. And so they were saying, COVID notwithstanding, can we continue with this relationship? Clearly not. We're not going to be having that conversation. And we must also admit that, it seems that Tanzania and Magufuli are still smarting from what everybody's saying at this point, that Tanzania has been very lax in how they've dealt with COVID.
Yeah.
Tanzania has not taken this thing seriously at all. When people are closing their borders, Tanzania is saying, free for all. Come on, guys, it's a party. Let's go ahead and continue. And so we're not, in fact, if anything, we're going to Madagascar to look for this herbal treatment. And we're not going to
COVID
deal with
organic.
all this other science that you people are talking about is neither here nor there. So Tanzania has taken a beating already about how they've dealt with COVID. And then now we find out that your truck drivers are actually bringing COVID into... Omo, there's no way you're going. Stay there.
The
In
message
fact,
that
we'll
Kenya
even help
is sending
you.
here by announcing that 52 of those truck drivers are Tanzanian nationals. There's a message you're saying. You're basically
Yes.
saying that COVID is rampant in that
In
country.
Tanzania. In fact, you people are not doing it.
That
COVID is
Tanzania
walking
is an
around in
epicenter.
Tanzania.
It's-
Tanzania is the East
It's
African
being brought in
epicenter.
trucks. And then Magufuli himself was saying, come on, you guys. Now, this person has driven from Dar es Salaam 1,000 kilometers plus, has not collapsed. You get to the border and you tell them, when mgonjwa. Nini mbaya na wewe? What do you mean? This guy has been driving all along, and then you're stopping them and telling him, mgonjwa, unaumwa, uko na corona. What is this? It's that whole back and forth. You know, it's gonna, count as a diplomatic tiff.
Oh, definitely.
It's how we're managing this thing. It's how we're managing the communication. Already, very many people in Kenya are saying, in fact, the information that we are getting in Tanzania is that there's the hospitals are overwhelmed. We saw a statement by the U.S. Embassy alleging that although they don't have this on official record, but all indicators are that hospitals in Tanzania are overwhelmed. Many people are dying and they are being buried in mass at night especially, and the government is only releasing bodies at night. All these back and forth stories. I think we need to find out the truth. Let's speak to a journalist who is in Tanzania. His name is Rajab Hassan. He is the KTN reporter in Tanzania. We'll be speaking to him, but first let's take a look at weather. Tuangalie kwanza hali ya anga ilivyo kule Dar es Salaam na Tanga pia. Tuambie, Tanga kuna mvua ama Tanga ni jua tu? Limewaka na COVID. 14 minutes after 8. Good morning. This is the Situation Room.
Cloudy in Nairobi. We're seeing 13 degrees and the sun peeking through in some areas. Highs of 25 and lows of 13. Taking a look into Nyeri at 13 degrees. It's mostly sunny. We'll see highs of 24 today. No rain in Nyeri today, but likely tonight into tomorrow morning. And Nakuru at 25 the high today. We will see showers in most parts of the city of the town. Highs of 25 and lows of 13 with showers early in the day. It's 14 degrees in Eldoret and clear skies. We will see rain in the afternoon with highs of 23 and lows of 12. Kisumu sees mostly cloudy conditions, but then it'll be a rainy afternoon with highs of 27 and lows of 19. Mombasa, 25 degrees, is mostly cloudy. Rain showers expected early on with highs of 27 and lows of 23. 26 degrees and mostly cloudy in Malindi, highs of 28 and lows of 24 with showers on set. In Kampala today at 19 degrees is partly cloudy. Rain showers expected there as well. 26 degrees a high and lows of 20. And there we have it in Dar es Salaam. Mostly cloudy this morning, but we will see mvua later. Highs of 26 and lows of 22. Johannesburg this afternoon will be partly cloudy with highs of 21. It'll go down to a chilly low of 7. And in Lagos, let's wrap it up for now, mostly cloudy conditions at 27 degrees. Highs of 32 and lows of 25.
Minutes after 8.
Spice FM. Spice up your life.
Tunaangazia swala zima la kufunga mipaka kati ya Kenya na Tanzania. Right? Mpaka. Boda.
Mipaka.
Mipaka
ama ni mpaka?
Mipaka is in plurally. Plurally. Right? The borders of Kenya and Tanzania are shut. Border between Kenya and Somalia are shut. But now we are talking about Kenya, Tanzania in particular, right? What's the situation in Tanzania? Is it an indicator that COVID is rampant in TZ when truck drivers arriving at our border are testing positive one after the other of COVID-19? And are they actually testing positive one after the other? Out of how many truck drivers did we get? 52 Tanzanian testing positive. Anyway, the border has been closed by order of the president. The Tanzanian authorities have also said, okay, so we're also not going to allow trucks coming from Kenya to cross over into Tanzania, and because the drivers are also testing positive of COVID. Let's find out what the situation is in Tanzania. We're now joined by Rajab Hassan. He's the KTN reporter in Tanzania. Good morning, Rajab.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rajab.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us in the Situation Room. Here we have Eric Latif, Dr. Mercy Korir, and Ndu Oko. Tanzania kwambaje?
Tanzania ni kwema kiasi, joto kiasi, hapaeleweki. Kwa hiyo ni jambo ambalo kila mmoja anajaribu kuokoa maisha yake kutokana na COVID-19. So ni situation ambayo it is real complex.
It's complex. A number of reports that we are hearing from Tanzania, unverified and confirmed, and that's why it's important to talk to somebody on the ground, that number one, the Tanzanian authorities are sort of gagging the media against reporting any negative stories on COVID-19. Is this true?
I can say it is true or not, but there are some regulations which human rights defenders, they say it is kind of a sort of kitu ambacho kama kinakandamiza uhuru wa vyombo vya habari, kwa sababu you must and you will and you must report everything which is said by government, not other ways to search for you on other side of doing an investigation about something. You will be in a trouble. There are many laws which is not good for us. But for COVID-19,
chochote utakacho ripoti lazima kiwe ni kuambatana na vile serikali imesema. Usifanye upekuzi wako hapo kando.
Masuala ya kuwa na upekuzi wako binafsi ni swala ambalo linaweza likakutia matatizoni. Kwa ndivyo unavyoona hata zimebaki kwamba social media ndo zimekuwa reporters, kwa sababu social media ni mtu tu anaamua, anakaa, anaandika na anatuma, na ndio zimekuwa reporter, na ndicho ambacho unaweza kusikia mtu akikwambia kwamba watu kadhaa labda wamefariki kutokana na COVID-19, watu kadhaa wako hospitalized, watu kadhaa labda wana hizi na hivi, lakini those stream media hawafanyi vitu kama hivyo, kwa sababu we all depend on information from the authorities.
Lakini nyinyi kama waandishi wa habari mko na uwezo wa kutembelea hospitali, kwenda katika mazishi kujua huyo ambaye anazikwa kama alikufa kwa COVID?
Those areas are strictly prohibited for journalists or even a camera to penetrate in. You can't film inside hospital, near hospital, or when the COVID-19 patient burial. So ni kitu ambacho huwezi fanya. Naam.
Na sasa mnawezaje kujua kama wanahabari vile maneno ya COVID iko? Ama mnategemea tu serikali iseme tuna COVID ama tuna COVID?
Kwa sasa hivi imebakia kuwa hivyo. Kwa watu ambao wako huru kiasi na wao ambao hawaishi nchini Tanzania, wana uhuru wa kufanya lolote vile kueleza, na lakini vile vile wamekuwa wakipewa onyo sana na kipewa angalizo kwamba waache huo mchezo mchafu. Lakini kwa mwanajeshi wa habari ambaye yupo hapa, here can't do such a thing.
Na apart from wanahabari, kuna watu wa civil society ama rights groups na watu kama hao. Kuna wale ambao labda wamejitokeza kuzungumzia maneno ya COVID ama kusema maneno mengine kuhusu vile the situation is on the ground.
Doctor, issue ya COVID-19 imebaki kuwa ni swala ambalo linaweza likazungumzwa na wanasiasa upinzani na sio mtu mwingine zaidi. Hata watetezi wa haki za masuala ya binadamu na masuala ya afya pia kidogo wametishika naonekana, kwa sababu nao wanashauri kwamba tupate taarifa zaidi kutoka katika mamlaka zinazohusika, ambapo tukiangalia mpaka hivi sasa ni wiki 2 sasa hakuna taarifa mpya kuhusiana na mwenendo wa ugonjwa wa COVID-19. Lakini kwa taarifa za hivi karibuni, Rais Magufuli siku ya Jumapili aliweza kueleza kwamba visa vya COVID-19 vimepungua sana na watu katika mahospitali wamepungua, na akatoa mfano pia na takwimu za namna ambavyo watu wamepungua. Lakini sasa tukija katika watu ambao wanajaribu kukosoa swala hilo, wanaeleza kwamba tutajuaje kama watu wamepungua katika hospitali hali ya kuwa hatujui takwimu mpya na wangapi walipimwa katika kipindi ambacho taarifa zilikuwa hazitolewi. Kwa hiyo unaona kabisa kwamba ni swala ambalo linaleta mawazo mseto na mchanganyiko wa mambo kati ya pande mbili. Pande za watu wanaoamini kwamba maambukizi yamepungua na pande ya pili ambayo inataka uwazi.
Na kuna these measures ambazo serikali wanasema kama ya physical distancing, watu kunawa mikono, kutumia barakoa. Hivi ni vitu ambavyo mamlaka ama Wizara ya Afya, Rais Magufuli mwenyewe amewaeleza wananchi wa Tanzania kuwa waangalia ama watimize.
Naam, katika swala la kukaa mbali, physical distance, na pia kunawa mikono mara kwa mara, ni jambo ambalo Rais Magufuli amekuwa akisisitiza sana kuliko kitu kingine chochote, na mamlaka zimekuwa zikisisitiza sana. Na kwa bahati nzuri ama mbaya, inaonekana kwamba Watanzania pia wanaelewa kwamba corona inaua na wanatakiwa wakae mbali. Kwa sababu ukienda katika duka lolote sasa hivi ama stage za basi, utakuta wameweka pipa za kunawa mikono na sabuni. Vile vile ukienda katika eneo la masoko, mambo ni hayo. Na ukienda katika maduka ya dawa, mlangoni huwezi kuingia kama hauna barakoa au hujavaa au hujanawa mikono. Na katika hospitali na sehemu nyingine mbalimbali za serikali, hali ni hivyo. Kwa hiyo ni jambo la kunawa mikono limesisitizwa sana na linapaswa sana hapa. Lakini kuna na pia tunapojua kabisa Dar es Salaam ni eneo ambalo liko densely populated. Watu wanatumia usafiri wa umma kwa wingi zaidi. Kupanda ndani ya daladala ambayo kwenu mnaita matatu, itabidi usimame ama uwe unachungulia nje, uwe umesimama na mguu mmoja. Gari huwa zinajaa sana. Lakini kwa wakati huu ninapozungumza, huwezi kukuta basi ambalo limejaza watu. Na hata tunafahamu kabisa kwamba ule mabasi ya mwendo kasi ambayo tunasema bus rapid transport yalikuwa yakijaza sana, lakini hivi sasa basi zinaenda tupu, level 6, hakuna mtu wa kusimama. Na hilo ni jambo ambalo linatia tumaini kwamba watu wanaweza kuelewa kwamba kuna COVID-19 na serikali imekuwa ikisisitiza hivyo. Ila kuna changamoto moja ambayo inasalia katika swala hilo, ni katika maeneo ya masoko ambapo physical hiyo distance ni kidogo ngumu sana kufanywa. Kwa hiyo masoko yanafurika kama ilivyokuwa mwanzo. Ila kuna watu wanaogopa hawaendi sokoni. Kwa hiyo tunaweza kusema soko linapumua kidogo, lakini ule udogo wake kupumua hauwezi kulinganisha na kile ambacho kinatajwa kwamba ni mkusanyiko.
Lakini hebu nikuulize Rajab, ukiangalia katika mabasi ama daladala pia, watu unasema sasa hawajazani sana, wanakaa chini. Hivi ni watu ambao wanataka ama ni polisi ndio wanahimiza watu wasijazane katika mabasi?
Ilitolewa tamko la mara moja tu kwamba watu wasijae ndani ya daladala. Na kwa sababu ni kwamba ugonjwa haukupata, uliusikia tu kwamba China watu wasiku wanakufa watu 100 na kitu, Marekani jinsi hali ilivyokuwa mbaya, kwa kila moja kwa moyo wake aliogopa. Kwa hiyo serikali kutumia nguvu nyingi sana kuwaeleza wananchi kwamba wasijaze ndani ya daladala, lakini ilikuwa tu mtu akipita daladala imejaa hawezi kupanda. Kwa hiyo wale hapandi. Lakini wale wahudumu wa hizo basi wakaamua sasa huu ndio utaratibu sasa. Kwa hiyo ndipo imekuwa hivyo, lakini naamini kama corona itaisha hali itarudi kama kawaida.
Kwa hivyo nikisikia vile unavyosema ni kwamba Watanzania walipopoa amri na serikali yao walifuata amri, walitii amri. Wao wenyewe kwa hiari yao sasa hawajazani kwenye matatu, kwenye mabasi. Wao wenyewe wanafuatilia social distancing, wao wenyewe wananawa mikono, wao wenyewe wakienda katika maduka hawajazani, wakienda katika masoko hawajazani vile walivyokuwa wakijazana hapo mbeleni, hata bila ya askari polisi kuja kushinda wakiwakumbusha
kabisa. Walokuwa wabishi katika hadi nguvu nyingi itatumika ni wale watu watu wabia wale ndio walikuwa na shida. Manake ilitokea ilikuwa kama siku 2 mfululizo ambapo maafisa wa polisi walivamia hizo baa ambazo zilikuwa zimejaza sana, na ziliwapa, kwa sababu wakati ule huwezi kumpeleka mtu kituo cha polisi kwa sababu wanasema hawezi kufanya vituo vya polisi vikawa crowded. Kwa hiyo walichokuwa kufanya walitoa adhabu pale pale. Kwa watu walipewa bakora, wakachapwa kimbo za kutosha, kisha wakatawanyika. Kwa hiyo kila mlezi aliyosikia kwamba kuna mlezi mwenzake alichapwa maeneo ya Dar es Salaam, basi hakuweza kwenda tena. Ilikuwa ni zoezi la 2 tu na hawakurudia tena. Kwa hiyo mambo yalienda tu automatic.
Sasa umesema kwamba mitandao ya kijamii ndio source ya information kwako, sio? Manake sasa huruhusiwi kuingia katika hospitali, huruhusiwi kwenda kuhudhuria mazishi. Unavyoangalia mitandao ya kijamii, watu wanasema vipi? Wanajua ukiangalia wewe mwenyewe ni watu wengi ambao wanafariki kwa COVID-19.
Mitandao ya kijamii ndio imekuwa namna ya pekee ya kupata information za COVID-19. Lakini namna tunavyoelewa kwamba not everything on social media is real. Sometimes fake news. Na ukija kutazama kuna ile tendency ilikuwa ikiendelea kwamba kila anayefariki kifo chake kinahesabiwa kwamba ni corona. Na kwa mimi ninavyoelewa ni kwamba maradhi yalikuwa mengi. Kuna kisukari, kuna ukimwi, kuna kuna maradhi mengi tu ambayo bado yanaendelea kuwepo, tunaishi nayo na yanaua. Lakini sasa kwa sababu kuna COVID-19, kila mmoja alihesabu anayefariki ni COVID-19. Kwa hiyo unajikuta kwamba kwa siku unasikia watu 20 wamefariki, na hao watu 20 kila mmoja anakuambia ni COVID-19. Kwa mimi ambaye nafuatilia masuala na napata ukakasi na shindwa kuamini na baki dilema. Lakini sasa kwa mtu ambaye haelewi how to au ambaye hayuko media social media elite, anabaki anajiuliza kwamba kweli hao watu 20 waliofariki ni wa corona. Kwa mimi ambaye COVID-19, lakini kwa mimi ambaye naweza kuchanganua masuala ya mtandaoni, kipi kitafaa, kipi kifai, na kuwa dilema. Sasa kuwa dilema kwangu unaweza kukasawazishwa na taarifa kutoka kwa serikali kwamba watu fulani wamefariki leo na hivi na kwa sababu ya COVID-19. Lakini sasa hizo taarifa hazitolewi. Nini kitatokea? Ni kwamba jamii naamini sasa kwamba wale watu 20 waliofariki walifariki kwa COVID-19. Kwa hiyo ni jambo ambalo sasa linatazamwa sana kwamba kuwepo na uwazi, ili hizi taarifa zinazoenea katika mitandao ya kijamii na ambazo ndio hasa mdomo wa Watanzania kwa wakati huu zitaweza kupungua endapo kuna taarifa rasmi ya serikali inaweza kutolewa. So
they say information abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're saying. Sasa tuzungumze kuhusu mpaka wa Kenya na Tanzania. Rais Uhuru Kenyatta aliagiza kwamba mpaka wa Kenya na Tanzania ufungwe kuanzia Jumamosi usiku. Sasa pia tumeona viongozi wa Tanzania, wakuu wa mikoa wakisema pia malori yanayotoka Kenya yasiruhusiwe kuingia Tanzania. Mambo yako vipi huko Tanzania?
Ni jambo ambalo hata Watanzania wenyewe wanashangaa kwamba kwa nini hili latokea. Kwa sababu ukiangalia Tanzania ni nchi rafiki, inamkaribisha kila mmoja, na hata juzi Rais Magufuli alitangaza kwamba anafungua mipaka kwa ajili ya watalii kutoka nchi zozote za kimataifa ambazo zinaruhusu raia wake kusafiri. Sasa jambo la kumfungia jirani mpaka ni jambo ambalo linahitaji ufafanuzi zaidi, tena kutoka katika mamlaka husika za uhamiaji. Kwa sababu aliyezungumza ni mkuu wa mkoa ambaye kwa kawaida ni mtu anayehusika na usalama wa eneo husika alilopo. Lakini watu bado wanasubiria kusikia kwamba uhamiaji inasema nini na Rais Magufuli anasema nini, kwa sababu ukija kuangalia tunafahamu Kenya na Tanzania zimekuwa ni nchi ambazo zinashindana sana katika masuala ya biashara na masuala ya kimaendeleo. Na ukija kuangalia watu wanaoishi katika mipaka ya Tanzania kule Sirari, Horohoro pamoja na Namanga, ni sehemu ambazo watu wake wanaingiliana sana. Ukifika Sirari huwezi kumjua Mkenya ni yupi, Mtanzania ni yupi. Ukifika Taveta huwezi kumjua Mtanzania ni yupi na Mkenya ni yupi. Sasa hiyo tai imekuwepo kwa muda mrefu, na kumekuwepo tu na mashindano siku nyingi, vifaranga, kuku, ng'ombe, na nini, lakini mambo hayo yote yamekuwa yakifanywa yakisuluhishwa. Lakini hili jipya la mpaka kufungwa katika wakati huu ambao dunia inalegalega, dunia ipo katika taharuki ya COVID-19, ni jambo ambalo bado Watanzania wengi wanasubiri tamko rasmi la serikali kuelewa nini kinachoendelea. Japo hawa wakuu wa mikoa wameeleza kwamba hata wale Watanzania wanaofanya biashara katika maeneo mfano Horohoro, basi wasiende kule, kwa sababu Wakenya wengi wanategemea upande wa Tanzania huko Horohoro kwa ajili ya kununua bidhaa kuzirudisha katika nchi yao kule. Sasa mpaka unafungwa. Kwa hiyo ni jambo ambalo bado linahitaji ufafanuzi wa kina kutoka katika mamlaka husika zinazohusika na masuala ya uhamiaji, ama Wizara ya Mambo ya Nje na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, ambayo nadhani inaweza ikatoa sura halisi ya kile kinachoendelea.
Na Rajab, kuna Chief Administrative Secretary hapa nchini Kenya anaitwa Daktari Rashid Aman, ambaye jana alitueleza kuwa wakati walipima trackers katika border, walipata kuwa 51 walikuwa Tanzania na wakawarejesha Tanzania. Na kisha tukaona Commissioner Shigela akisema kuwa trackers wa Kenya hawatakubaliwa kuingia Tanzania. Je, kuna hawa trackers ambao wamerejeshwa Tanzania na kuna wengine ambao labda ni wa Kenya ambao walikuwa Tanzania wakapatikana kuwa wana virusi vya corona ambao wamerejeshwa nchini Kenya?
Swala la Martin Shigela, mkuu wa mkoa wa Tanga, ni kama ulivyonieleza, liko sawa. Sasa kabla ya hapo nianze tu kusema hawa traffic drivers kabla ya leo na mgogoro walikuwa wakilalamika. Shauri lao kubwa ni kwamba kila wanapopimwa wanakutwa na corona, wanakuwa positive. Kila wanapopimwa wengi wao wanakuwa positive. Wanauliza why? Mbona?
Hawaamini.
Hawaamini, wakashauri, waligoma kwa kipindi fulani kupima. Wakashauri kwamba hatuwezi kupima kama maafisa wa afya kutoka upande wa Tanzania hawatokuwepo kusimamia zoezi hilo, kwa sababu hatuamini vipimo vyenu. Umeona? Kwa hilo swala likaenda, sijui nini kiliendelea baada ya hapo, lakini ndo hii taarifa inakuja sasa. Lakini hata Shigela ukimwangalia naye pia analaumu kwamba kwa nini tu wa Tanzania kutoka wa Tanzania tu ndo wapimu wakutwa na corona. Why? Kuna shida gani? Kwa hiyo ni jambo ambalo ni kama ninavyosema ni complex, lakini kwa watu ambao wanaitazama ile jambo hawezi kusema kwamba ni complex, ila tu ni jambo ambalo linatia shaka, linatia wasiwasi, lina kama zalisha uhasama baina ya nchi hizi mbili ambazo ni wanachama wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, na ambazo zinajitahidi kuwa na sarafu moja ambayo inategemea masuala ya border post pamoja na currency zetu ambazo tunazotumia. Kwa hiyo ni jambo ambalo bado linaleta mkanganyiko na maswali mengi ambayo yanahitaji majibu kutoka katika mamlaka zinazohusika za upande wa Kenya na upande wa Tanzania.
Rajab Hassan, KTN reporter akiwa Tanzania. Asante sana kwa kuzungumza nasi hapa katika Situation Room.
Asante sana.
Shukran Rajab.
Kila laheri huko.
Asante sana.
All right. Well, so there you have it. The man on the ground basically saying Tanzanians are wondering, really?
What's all this news that we don't
Really?
know about?
What's it?
You're
What's going
closing
on?
the
You're
border.
closing the border.
I mean, our friend relations, what? Closing? Why? And also, the truck drivers are wondering, so every time you guys are testing us,
We're
you're finding us positive.
There's something
going
with your testing.
Matubeba pipe. 23 minutes live. Let's take a look at traffic. This conversation is now. We'll open up the phone line. 0719 10600.
Serious issues on the southern bypass this morning, unfortunately, and we see damaged electricity lines as well as guardrails. There have been no casualties reported yet. However, already 5 people injured. There's a terrible accident that took place on the southern bypass heading towards Langata Road this morning, and still trying to get that lorry which has damaged some houses, which was on high speed this morning. So there's a full crowd of people there. If you were trying to get to the southern bypass, please use an alternate route. That we can say right now, you will not be able to get through. There's already kilometers of traffic, and if you want to join, don't. There's also heavy traffic on Thika Road inbound, especially at Allsops. Avoid the service lane if you can, because you cannot use that right now. So there's the 2 issues that we see right now off Mombasa Road on the southern bypass and on Thika Road, and the service lanes are also jam-packed this morning. So this affects traffic on Mombasa Road. It affects traffic then into the CBD, guys. It's a Tuesday we didn't expect, but hey, we're going to have to take it as it comes. Exercise caution, guys. There are less people on the roads. This doesn't mean we should go any faster than it's necessary. Spice FMKE on Twitter.
Just a recap of what the KCM reported. One, he's telling us that indeed there are restrictions on reporting on COVID-19. There's heavy restriction accessing some of these facilities, hospitals, attending funerals of people who have died during this period. But also at the same time, that has led now to social media being a source of information, and it's spreading a lot of information. Now, he tells us that he's seeing very many people on social media posting and saying that people have died, and everybody who's dying now is basically just being reported on social media as having died of COVID-19. As a reporter, he tells us, knowing the number of deaths that were there, I mean, the kind of trends in terms of deaths that were there before COVID, and looking at this now, he's a bit hesitant to take that on face value. Taking that with a pinch of salt. Yes, there could be deaths because of COVID-19, but not all the deaths that are being reported are as a result of COVID-19. At the same time, the government is the one that is holding all the cards in terms of dissemination of information. So any other information that is not official cannot be reported on mainstream media. And that's why social media is becoming now the main source of community information. But something that he also said that is that quite stood out is, as soon as the government announced some of these measures, the government is very serious on saying observe physical distancing, wash your hands, especially those two, observe physical distancing and sanitize. Hand washing facilities have been provided, especially in Dar es Salaam, in many of the crowded areas. When you walk into any shop now, you're finding a hand washing bin that's provided. And when it comes to public transport, people are now, before that, they don't have the Mishuki rules in Tanzania, so you can just cram yourself into a matatu. As long as you find space, get in. But now, since these measures were announced, people are now no longer, matatus are not carrying standing passengers, not because of the order of the government, but because of the initiative of the people. So people themselves have decided, all right, kuna corona bana, mimi si jazani kanye basi. I am not going to get into an overloaded vehicle. The bus rapid transport system that's in Dar es Salaam was also carrying very many passengers, and now it's only carrying seating passengers. Police are not having to go around enforcing these things.
Because the people have taken the responsibility.
Because the people,
they understand.
They heard the government, they understood, and they're like, okay, kuna corona sasa, bas.
I think this is interesting, because at this point, then the people were then made to make a decision on their own in terms of then what was going to happen. The government would have taken, because like we said, I think Magufuli, I mean, for sure, he's smarting from, the the
and
global
forth.
criticism that he's gotten. So, I mean, he's trying to deal with that as well as deal with an image issue, etc. But the people have seen beyond this and realized, I mean, just from what we're hearing, that the people have seen beyond this and realized, you know what, there's certain things that we need to do to protect ourselves. We're not going to wait for government to come and tell us or enforce and say, you know, beat us into a pulp to be able to get us to do this thing. We want to protect ourselves, so these are the things that we are going to do anyway. And I think that's a glaring example of how people then take responsibility for their own actions and say, okay, here
people that
an
listen to their
opportunity-
government versus the people that ask the government,
So what are you saying? We're not listening.
There were
to
people
you.
who did not do that. So people who are attending, who are going to bars and entertainment joints, they continued living their life as life BC. And then the police were sent to go and talk to them.
in the way they
And-
know best.
And the police talked to them. You know, they left a couple of whips here and there, fined people. Now, because you cannot take people into police cells, also police are cognizant of the fact that you cannot overcrowd cells. So they decided to mete out instant justice. And once word spread around that there's instant justice when you go to a pub, people stopped going to bars. There you go.
I mean, it's fantastic, this method. How
It
about
works.
that be applied in other areas? This
And
method works.
if you look at like the bus transport system in Tanzania, where people have taken the initiative to not crowd themselves, that will be a more sustainable response by the people, because it is your own initiative, it is your own decision to take charge of your own health. That's going to be sustainable. Compare now that with Kenya, what we see.
But you see, the problem with I think if you look at them, parallels, okay, start with the comparison.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
If you look at Kenya, as earlier this morning, the Matatu terminal is crowded.
Yep.
The terminus is crowded already. People have their masks, but they're on their chins because you have to be seen to have a mask.
Yeah.
In case a police comes up, you just put
You
it
just
up
put
to
it up.
cover your nose and mouth. But it's crowded. Buses, matatus are back to business as usual because this was just a temporary measure. So if you're to compare just that particular public transport system response in Tanzania and our response here, then I can bet my bottom dollar that Tanzania's initiative will be more sustainable than our own.
And more effective.
Yes.
And theirs is just announcing, people, let's avoid shaking hands.
Yeah.
Let's observe physical distancing. Let's wash our hands. Sawa serikali. Kenya, polisi wako wapi?
If you there's a gazette notice where you'll be fined if you don't do one or two things.
Yep.
So really, you'll do it because you don't want to be fined,
Yep.
not because you are doing it for your own health.
Not because you
No,
understand it.
Exactly. The
Let's
other
take this caller before we continue. This is our friend Yegon. Good morning, Yegon.
Good morning, Eric.
Hey,
Yegon, good morning.
it's been a while.
Good morning, Nduoko and Dr. Korir.
good morning, Yegon.
Uko wapi
Yes,
leo? Uko Wajir, uko Matu.
Huko ndio nyumbani sasa kwa katika hii janga.
Wapi?
Wajia.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So I think what Magufuli is doing is very right. Yeah, instead of running away from corona, you have to face it.
Face it.
Yeah. Hii ni ugonjwa tu kama ugonjwa nyingine tu. Because ile idadi ambayo tunatoa kila siku na zile maafa siko jaje kulingana na magonjwa zingine. Kwa hivyo kufunga nchi, lockdown nini, una uchumi ya taifa, watu wanapoteza kazi. Hapa haudhibiti corona inaendelea kusambaza na economy inaanguka. So afadhali
Go ahead. Yegon.
afadhali kutoa hizo marufuku zote, watu waendelee wafanye kazi. Tanzania is a good example. Sile wao wako haja na uchumi yao, na pia hata wale wagonjwa ni wachache.
Yeah.
For example, look now, the traffic in Nairobi is back. People are back to chop chini ya maji.
Yeah.
and still we have low cases.
Yeah.
The traffic is increasing, the population increasing. I was watching in the news, watu wameacha kutumia sanitizers, and we are getting low cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the best way to go.
So do you think such a thing would work in Kenya if now it would be, okay, we know this thing is here, just do what we say and then observe and we'll be fine?
We will be fine.
But yeah, God,
There's
people are not
yes.
doing what they're supposed to do. So, look, we've just heard from Rajab in Tanzania.
You
He's
know,
saying that people are
not
taking the
doing this.
initiative.
You know why we are not taking the initiative here? Because we are being forced. Ni kama tunaambiwa tunachungwa. Lakini pale umeambiwa jichunge binafsi, usipojichunga serikali haina haja na wewe. So now here we depend on the government.
It's your own problem.
Yeah, God.
Yes.
Mutahi Kagwe has gone on. You know, he implored on us. He told us, we urge you, Kenyans. We implore on you, Kenyans. If you take this disease, if you continue to treat this disease normally, it will treat us abnormally. He was not saying you must. He was saying, look, guys, please. And yet, here we are.
Look, we observe those measures given by Mutahi Kagwe. But we still had increase in cases, other than now when we have been neglected them.
So from where you said, where you sit, where you stand, Yegon, is Tanzania is the way to go.
Tanzania is the way to go because watu wanaumia hapa mjini.
Sawa bana.
Hakuna kazi, we cannot pay bills, we cannot get food. And now we are playing second fiddle. Angalia, these guys wanasema wanatangaza, wanatuambia how many positive cases from Tanzania. Why should you include them? Why should you mention them and yet you have not taken care of them? So wakati ule RPC watanga anachukua msimamo, tunaanza kulia, you cannot. How can you say we have 27 cases and then you just tell us we tested another 50 but they were from outside?
I think you're onto something there, Egon. I think he's onto something there because if you want to look at how things have played out, look at the countries that have been able to ease lockdowns. What did they do? They didn't force people to do anything. Sweden
did not even have any of these measures in the first place. Nothing. People are
just
still going
gave the information. The initial
like
communication was, this thing is here. This is what we urge and suggest people to do.
Wa Kenya.
Boom.
Kenya. Roho gumu sana Kenya. Dominic in Kangemi. Good morning.
Good morning to hi.
How are you?
Hi Dominic.
Kwa salama sana. Habari zenu ndani?
Sisi tuko sawa.
Tuko salama sana Dominic.
Makuvuli iko sawa. Nakubali. Kwa sababu kama utamsikiza alivyosema, mimi sitaki kuwafungia watu wangu. Alafu wapitie shida ambazo nchi zingine zinapita. Hizi nchi zingine ni Kenya tu, unajua. Hizi nchi zingine ni Kenya, kana kwamba wafungie watu na watu hawana chakula. Na ndio maana mimi nimeamua kwamba watu wakuwe uhuru, lakini waangalie yale masharti ambayo yamewekwa. Na amesema mara nyingi hilo tutakubali. Lakini sasa tujiulize kwa nini mpaka wa Kenya umefungwa na Tanzania, kana kwamba anaitwaje, Rais Uhuru alipokuja akasema kwamba kuanzia leo mipaka yetu isiende isipokuwa mizigo tu ndio itaingia. Waliposema hivyo sasa madaktari wetu wote wamekimbia pale mpakani. Sasa unasikia idadi kubwa ya wagonjwa wanatoka Tanzania. Wanataka kuonyesha kwamba Tanzania hawafanyi nini, hawapimi watu wao. Na sasa wajua ile ni nchi nyingine tofauti na sasa wale watu wa ile nchi tukianza na uongozi wao watajisi aje kuhusu Kenya, kana kwamba yani Kenya wanaona kwamba wanajua zaidi kutuliko sisi.
Bas.
Unajua wezi kama
so it's sending the wrong message.
Yes. Wanapeana ujumbe ambao hufai kabisa katika nchi nyingine, kwa sababu hapa Kenya tukianza na Kenya kwetu kwenyewe ni kwamba Wizara ya Afya inafaa kutoa habari ya corona, sio? Lakini sasa iweje katika watu wa Tanzania ni madaktari ambao ama ni Wizara ya Afya Kenya itasema kwamba watu wa Tanzania hawa na hawa wako na ugonjwa huu.
Na watu wakipima wanapatikana wako na virusi.
Yaani Mtanzania kipimwa tu inaleta tension na inaleta uadui katika hao watu wawili. Sasa ndio tunaona pale wanasema, mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa nimelifikiria jana mchana nikijiambia Makuvuli kuna uwezekano aseme hata matrela ziingie kule na jioni yake ikasikia inasema kama ni hivyo.
Dominic, acha nikuulize, hasa wewe uko hapa Kenya, uko Kangemi, sio?
Naam.
Wewe mwenyewe unafuata haya masharti ya serikali?
Mimi ninayafuata. nafuata kwa sababu afya ni yangu. Na nisipojichunga hakuna mtu ambaye atanichungia afya yangu. Na tukisema kwamba tuseme kama haya mapipa ambayo wameyaleta sijui ni ya maji. Kama sasa mapipa yote hayana maji, mengine naona yamevunjwa sijui nini. Najiuliza wao kama Wizara ya Afya wamesema ni sawa. Tuseme kama serikali na wamesema sisi tumepeleka sanitizers mitaani sijui nini, mapipa ndio hayana maji. Nairobi unaona hatuna maji. Sasa alafu swala la masoko kwanza Kenya wenyewe hata hawafuati hizo sheria. Na nasikia nyinyi mnauliza yule mtangazaji wenu Tanzania, je, kule wanafanyaje? Unaona kwamba wale wameka hizo nini, lakini Kenya ni hivyo hivyo. Haya, tuseme kama Kangemi, mimi sijaona hawa watu wakija kupima watu Kangemi. Kwani Kangemi si Kenya?
Sawa Dominic, tumekusikia. Thank you very much for calling. Have a good one. Some comments coming in on social media as well, and you can continue calling in 0719-012-600. So some comments on social media. David from Aldai says, that was not a good move. Instead of closing the borders, they could have established a relay transportation system like what Uganda did. Such action is undermining Tanzania. It's funny how the people from Tanzania, including their president, are taking all this corona thing. Let them stay at their place, and also Kenyans, let's stay here. If they cannot accept even their results, what will happen next? This is Jeff Sunday, who's tuned in from Karatina. Mweru Timbe posting on Facebook, I think it's pertinent for President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Tanzanian counterpart to hold discussions and agree. There is no animosity here. What each of our governments is doing is just fighting COVID-19 by limiting the spread. The East African community has been there since time immemorial, and we shall all leave it here. I beg that Tanzania may stop misunderstanding Kenya. Sisi sote ni wanachama wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Tafadhali bana, tusikizane. Josephat calling in from Nairobi. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, I really like your topic for this morning.
Asante sana.
And I don't think I support what these other listeners just said. Because not reporting the cases for the virus. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, not reporting the cases for the virus does not mean the virus is not there. So if you look at the figures in this worldometer, you don't see Tanzania reporting.
Yeah.
But we see cases, we have reported cases at the border. They have also reported cases in their own country. So that doesn't mean that they don't have a virus.
They don't have a virus, true.
Yeah, so if they are closing the border at this point because we have reported, or they are reporting that it is Kenyans who have this virus, I don't think that one is justified. What the message we are sending as Kenyans and as President Kenyatta is that you need to be cautious. Yes, we are neighbors. We have been friends for long.
Yeah.
But because of the current situation, everybody has to be very, very cautious.
Okay.
So I don't think Magufuli and the Tanzania government are really justified to really painting us as if we are not very sensitive. But they should look at the bigger picture. The idea here is that we have to be cautious. We do not want to see a repeat like what happened in the U.S. What happened in January is that the virus was reported in the U.S., but they didn't take it very seriously. And we've seen what has happened.
Yeah, true.
If you remember very well, recently we saw the president in Brazil joining the rallies in the street because they didn't agree that this regional government should impose the lockdown.
Yeah.
Because people were suffering, they didn't have income, they didn't have a job. So he went to the street to support these people who were demonstrating. What has happened for the last 3 weeks or so, the numbers have really risen up.
True.
So this is what we are trying to avoid.
This is what all of us are dealing with. Thank you very much, Josephat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Asante.
And keep on.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Mongo in Nyeri, good morning.
Habari zenu asubuhi.
Mzuri sana.
Salama kabisa, hujambo?
Nawasikia vile mnaendelea kutetea haya maneno. Sasa what I wanted to contribute is that kuongea sana juu ya hii mambo ya Tanzania na Kenya, in fact it's not bringing up a very good picture. Kwa sababu right now in Kenya we have hotspots kwa kama Mombasa, Nairobi and kitu kama northern Kenya. Lakini the central part za central zinasemekana hazina nazo, so it's a bit of a safe. So what are they doing? Tunasikumbulianzia hii mjadala mkatiba. The corona issue, it is not about if, it is when.
Yeah.
Sasa hii kitu ikikuja sasa wanasema Nairobi ni mbaya, wameweka barriers no going to Nairobi, utakwenda nini sasa. But unaweza toka hapa uende Nakuru upitie hizi, but at the people are wanatoka Nairobi na wanakuja mpaka wanaenda mpaka Nakuru, kwa sababu tunasikia mpaka cases watu wametoka Nyeri wako na nini waenda mpaka Narok. Point yangu ni hii, what are they doing? Sasa kule kuko na hotspot na tumejua wanaanza kuongea mambo ya Tanzania kufunga mipaka. Yaani kama if you Waswahili husema usipojenga upa
usipoziba ufa
utajenga ukuta.
Yeah. Now it inaweza rupture to those places, those zones which they think that it is safe. Inaweza kuwa mbaya huko Nairobi ama huko Mombasa.
So Mongo, what I hear you say is that we should be focusing on containing
our own borders
within the border.
Yes.
Stop diverting attention to another country.
Not my forest, not my monkey.
Kabisa. Thank you very much, Mongo. Have a good one.
Contain your own inter-county borders first before you go to international
borders. Coming up to 9 o'clock, this conversation continues on our social media platforms, Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Today's proverb: a fowl does not forget who trimmed his feathers during the rainy season. A fowl does not forget who trimmed his feathers during the rainy season. We shall revisit. That's basically the meaning of this. Right? We shall revisit. Maybe that's what Tanzania is saying. Nanyeshewa, huninyoi. Sawa. You'll be hungry. Magufuli said, you'll come looking for food. Good morning. 9 o'clock.
Still looking pretty bad on the southern bypass. A couple of minutes to get you going either direction, coming towards Mombasa Road or heading towards Langata Road, and then out down, then towards town or wherever it is that you may be going. It's going a little bit slowly. They're trying to remove that or pick apart that accident scene and get the injured moved to hospital. The Thika Road traffic has regained its strength. It has come back stronger than ever, 3 times as potent. Everybody's out today, so there it's going to need some patience to be applied. Please, please, please. Apart from that, Mombasa Road is not looking too bad, though we still have the excess traffic that has not been able to join the bypass now on Mombasa Road, heading towards Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Apart from that, it looks good, guys. Spice FM KE, that's how you can reach us. In case anything else that you see will spread the word about, please be careful, guys. Masks up in public as well. Necessary.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned
2 minutes
political
after 9.
observer,
Good morning
a
and thank you very
fountain of
much for tuning
wisdom
in to The
politically
Situation. This is
uncertain
Kenya's
times.
biggest conversation. In the room is Eric Latif Nduoko, Dr. Mercy Korir. We are broadcasting from Nairobi. We are on 94.4, 87.9 in Mombasa, 102.5 Kisumu, 96.0 in Nakuru, Eldoret 96.7, Nyeri 90.9, Malindi 97.7. Join the conversation anywhere you are around the world. www.spicefm.co.ke. We also live stream this show on our social media handles. We live stream the show on Facebook, Spice FM KE, YouTube, Spice FM KE, as well as Twitter, Spice FM KE. This is the first and only radio station in this region, in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, DRC, go where you want to go, Ethiopia, Somalia,
of the Sahara,
north of the Limpopo, right? that broadcasts both audio and visual throughout an entire day. Okay? And we are not bragging. We're just stating facts as they are. Dr. Mercy Korir.
So let's look at health on a broader lens, broader perspective. Well, COVID has brought out the weaknesses and the strengths in our health system, but mainly the weaknesses. There's a lot that has been happening behind the scenes, and I think for me the biggest changes and strides that we've seen in the health system started in 2011, then with the devolution in 2013. 2011 was the first major doctor strike before the 2016 one, and there are some things that were made into place, and that's why we eventually saw the managed equipment services. It was part of the return to work formula between the doctors' union and the government in how to make health, accessible and readily available to attend to people's needs across the country. In 2013, the major changes were devolution, where health is a shared function. You only have your level 6, 4 public referral hospitals under the management of the national government, and then all other healthcare facilities under the county governments, including public health and sanitation. So there was a bit of many teething problems. Maybe they're still there, but that was a big major change, and we've seen a lot of changes in the health system. And with the managed equipment services, we also saw people were able now to finally access services like dialysis services, where before people would travel for kilometers to get access to dialysis services. So there's been some changes. In 2016, beginning of 2017, there was, I think that was one of the moments where there was a big disruption in the healthcare system, where we saw industrial actions from the doctors, the nurses, the clinical officers. There were a bit of changes. And during that time now, we had the Health Act 2017 that established some authorities established or changed the council, so that, like, for example, the licensing body for medical doctors was the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. Now it is the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. And so all the other councils were now put under one health body, which is the Kenya Health Professionals Oversight Authority. And so this one has a mandate to, among them, which is our next point of discussion, to accredit hospitals and classify them according to, are they level 1 facility? What can they offer? Are they level 2, level 3, level 6? What can they offer? And we'll be speaking to the CEO, Dr. Jackson Kioko, who will tell us more about that. Now, we're seeing also today that possibly the health sector is moving in the right direction. If this Senate presentation by the CAS, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, is anything to go by, that the ministry is looking at making sure that the health sector gets allocated 15% of the national budget according to the 2001 Abuja Declaration, which Kenya is a signatory to. We are less than half of that 15% at all times. So they're looking at phasing it out in the next 4 years, so that within those 4 years, we are able to meet that budgetary allocation. And obviously, with the budgetary allocation, then it means that most importantly, we need some prudent use of those resources so that they offer services. And apart from that is now looking at the bigger picture, which is the Big Four agenda, what one of the legacies that President Uhuru Kenyatta wants to leave behind, and that is to have everyone have universal health coverage. So it's been a conversation here and there, but there are many components to it, from governance, from human resource, from health financing. So these are some of the conversations that are happening, even as the country tries to, fight COVID and make sure COVID is at bay. And all the other outbreaks, because we know currently we have a leishmaniasis outbreak, we have a measles outbreak.
Sorry, just say that again. I just heard maniasis.
Yes.
Leishmaniasis.
Yes, that is.
We have a leishmaniasis outbreak now.
Yes.
Is this another name for COVID?
No. It's Kalaza. It's a disease that has been there.
Kalaza, like Bilharzia and all those things.
Yes.
There you go.
But it's not like Bilharzia.
Bilharzia is the one for snails in the water.
Yes. At least you remember something.
Yes. And so this is now what?
This is Kalaza. It causes
tummy upset.
Yeah, sort of. It affects the liver. It affects the blood production system. So people who are affected would probably have anemia. I think the most obvious thing that we always see is that people get a swollen tummy because the liver is affected in one way or another.
Okay.
So, and the unfortunate thing is that the treatment for this thing is long, painful, and most of the county that is most affected, and I've been able to cover a story from there, is West Pokot. We have areas of Baringo and the area that borders Uganda on that side. But that's a story for another day. So we have these things happening and currently still affecting us. And on top of all of that, we also have a cholera outbreak in the country. So there are many things.
To me, like COVID needs to take a number, right? When you go into the bank, just take a slip and sit and we'll get to you. It just seems that the other things that are going on right now that need attention. I mean, because come on. Which one will you do?
COVID Kwanzaa has a very simple name.
COVID.
Yeah, let it just stay. I mean, we've been dealing with these other bigger ones. Actually, what am I asking again?
Leishmaniasis.
Hey,
Leishmania.
If you were to pick leishmaniasis and COVID,
if they tell you we've tested you, no. If they tell you we've tested you and you have leishmaniasis and COVID, which one will you say they should treat first?
The one that you can mention.
The one that sounds I can't pronounce.
Deal with leishmaniasis.
Deal with that one first. These are the ones that COVID, I can pronounce. It's okay.
COVID nitakunywa ndimu. Hey, Leo, shall we speak to the CEO?
Yes, let's speak to the CEO.
Dr. Jackson Kioko is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Health Professionals Oversight Authority. Very long name, KHPO. Good morning, Dr. Ari.
Good morning, how are you?
We're well, thank you. Asante sana for joining us and speaking to us.
Thank you.
How we like to say it is, welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Mercy. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Wow. My pleasure.
Yes. So, Dr. just start by telling us, you are at the helm of KHPO, Kenya Health Professionals Oversight Authority. What is your mandate? Just so that listeners and viewers can understand.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Coril, and thank you for inviting us to participate in this Situation Room. Well, it's the first time, but allow me maybe to introduce to you to the new kid on the block, the KHPO, as it's being put, the Kenya Health Profession Oversight Authority. Well, it's a body corporate that has come into being through the Health Act of 2017. And basically, our mandate is to provide an oversight on the regulation in the health service delivery in the country, and to be able to also to oversight in the training of health professions, in their registration and licensing, and also in their professional practice and conduct, and also to be able to coordinate the other regulatory boards and councils in the country. That's basically our mandate.
So, and this is, I think, one of the questions now that you've mentioned on conduct and of professionals. Does it mean that if I feel aggrieved by a hospital or a health provider, a doctor, a nurse, anyone, I should report to KHPO?
Basically, one of the functions of the KHPO is to be able to receive and facilitate the resolution of complaints from patients and aggrieved parties, including even the regulatory boards and councils. So what is happening in the regulations that we are developing is that if you have a complaint, either with a professional or with a health facility, that complaint will be channeled to the KHPO. The KHPO will be able to analyze the complaint and either be able to channel it to the respective board or council, depending on whether it's a professional or whether it is basically is a professional. But if it's a facility, then the KHPO will be able to deal with that. If the complaint then involves multidisciplinary personnel, then KHPO will be able to tackle that because it cannot be handled by any of the professional bodies.
Okay. Yes. Previously, we've seen the medical board, the medical council, or the nurses council, the different councils being able to go to facilities and, for example, check if they meet standards as per what each of the councils does. Is it now collapsed to KHPO, and what exactly or how exactly do you accredit these facilities? What exactly do you go and check and see? So this is the classification of the hospital.
Exactly, that's true, Dr. Corinne. What is happening nowadays is that because one of the functions of the authority is to be able to coordinate doing the inspections with all the regulatory bodies. In other words, none of the board or a council will be able to go individually to inspect a facility. That now becomes the function of the authority to be able now to put together joint teams from each of the regulatory boards and council and to be able to go and inspect a facility. Whether we are going to inspect a facility, it's a new facility, and it is required to be registered or licensed to provide services. Now that becomes the function of the authority. Now, what I want people to note here is that the authority goes to inspect to better understand or to confirm whether that facility complies with the set norms and standards. Now, once that is done, a report is usually done, and the list of facilities that have been inspected and that have been graded or categorized depending on the level of care is usually shared with the respective boards and councils. Now, the respective boards and councils then will be able to license these facilities and also to be able to give them the go-away then to provide the service. So the role of the authority is to inspect and to ensure that they comply with the norms and standards and to be able to grade and categorize facilities depending on the level of services they are providing.
So what are these set norms and standards? You know, sometimes we talk about many big words, but if I walk into a medical clinic, for example, or a dental clinic, what are these set norms and standards that I should expect as a lay person who doesn't know the nitty-gritties that you're talking about?
Well, the norms and standards are many. It's about the infrastructure, the size of the facility. It's about, if it's a clinic, it's about its size, it's about the services it has been licensed to provide. If it is it's a nursing home, it's about does it have the outpatient, does it have the right patient flow, does it have the recommended number of human resources. whether they are nurses, whether they are clinical officers or nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have the issues to do with infection prevention control, the issues of waste management and disposal, and then the issues to do with the SOPs, the standard operating procedures. We look at the standard operating procedures for admission of patients, for procedures that will be done. So there are a number of things that we usually do using what we call a joint inspection checklist.
Mm-hmm. So how do I tell that this facility has undergone the necessary inspection by the authority? Do they have something they display like you would expect of any other business? How do I tell that this is actually certified and it's not some other, a quack running the clinic and extorting people?
Now, what we've done, Dr. Toril, is that because we came into place last year, we began the process of inspecting the facilities because we wanted to have an inventory of how many facilities actually are correctly operating in this country. And last year in October, November, December, we embarked on that process of inspection, doing inspection, when we inspected over 11,000 facilities. 11,000 facilities, and out of these, we realized that only 9,000 were able to maintain the level of care they had been given previously. But shockingly was that we were able to downgrade nearly 1,000 of them because they did not meet the set norms and standards for that level of care they were given then. So we were able to downgrade them, give them a lower grade than they were, but also we were able to close over 1,200 of them because either they were not licensed or the people who were operating them were also not qualified and were also not registered. So these are the things. So we started with that last year. So currently we were able to submit a list over 9,000 out of the 11,000 that are now currently gazetted. We can say that at least 9,000 out of the 11,000 that we inspected are now gazetted to be able to provide services. Now, as we move forward, the authority has come up with the regulation on the joint inspections, and what the authority will be giving is a certificate of compliance. So these facilities, once they have been inspected, they have been graded, a certificate of compliance will be given to this facility to ensure or to confirm that this facility has been inspected and it meets the required norms and standards, and this certificate will be given. Now, once that is done, the respective boards and councils then will be able to provide them the license to provide the services as per the grade of that particular facility.
So, as you were going to inspect these facilities, Dr. it's facilities that are already in operation.
These are facilities that are already in operation.
And before the authority came into office, it means that the individual regulatory bodies are the ones that were inspecting and allowing them to get into business.
Correct.
So I want to focus on the 1,200 that you closed. Did they have any certification from any of the regulatory bodies?
No. Those ones are the ones which were being operated by FOAT.
So zero certification whatsoever?
No certification, no licenses of the people who are operating there. In fact, what we had even planned, and we are still planning in the month of June, is now to do a follow-up inspection and to be able to confirm whether these facilities we closed are actually closed.
In how many regions did you find this? Did you inspect the 11,000 facilities?
No, it's all over the country.
Countrywide.
We actually went all the 47 counties.
Okay. Now, getting back to the 1,000 that you downgraded.
Yes.
So they were initially licensed to offer a certain service and certified at a certain level, But you went and now you've re-inspected and downgraded them.
Yes.
Why would you require to downgrade a facility that has already been inspected by a regulatory body that's under you? What does that mean? Does it mean that the initial certification was erroneous? Does it mean that they had sort of lost what they had initially been licensed to do?
Well, not exactly. I think I would say that the 1,000 that we downgraded, it could have been either erroneous or it could have been they were given a level of care which they don't deserve for reasons we do not understand. But you see, the work of the authority is to make sure that the regulatory boards and council do what is right.
So can I ask you a question here, Dr. That even with the downgrade, then is there some kind of follow-up to see that even after they've been downgraded, that they're actually doing then what they're required to do? And if you find that over time that they have done that, will then they be upgraded?
Yeah, what we are doing is that the follow-up work that we are going to do in soon, it's basically actually to follow up those that were downgraded and those that have been closed. Because the downgraded one was given recommendations to be implemented within 6 months or 12 months. Now it's almost 6 months since we went into the field. We gave out recommendations that needed to be implemented. And when we go to the field is to be able to confirm whether they've done this, either we'll maintain them in that level or we'll be able to upgrade them.
Dr. I'm sensing some, like you're going to have some fight with the bodies that are under you. And here's how I'm putting it this way. This is Kenya. So we have various regulatory bodies that have been going and conducting inspection of facilities and allowing them to operate. I would assume at a fee. And now here is one authority that is usurping all the roles of the others or taking over the jobs of all these other bodies were doing and now doing it. And already you are showing us that 1,000 of the facilities that had been given licenses by the various bodies should not have been given those level of licenses by the various bodies. What do you suppose those bodies that had given those licenses are feeling right now?
Well, now it's the law, and we have to follow the law. So the law is there, and the authority is there to oversight what the boards and councils are doing. I mean, there's no shortcut about that. Number two, regarding the fee that these regulatory boards and councils were receiving, they will still continue to receive the fee. We are not saying they are not going to receive the fee. What the authority is going to ensure is that the list that is submitted to the board and councils for licensing and registration is the correct list.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah.
So, so the 9,000, in what categories of levels are they?
The majority actually of the 9,000 were basically the level 2s. Basically, these are the dispensaries. You know, our healthcare delivery system is more skewed to primary healthcare than the tertiary and the secondary. So the dispensaries were more, and these were over 6,000. So you can see it's almost like 3/4 of them were level 2. The level 3s actually were not very many. They were about 2,500. And the level 4s were just 600. Level 5 was at 2, and level 6 were only 8.
And
yeah.
So now you have looked at facilities, you have classified, and you've said, you know, these are the facilities that can offer XY services. Now, where does NHIF come in here? Because NHIF now is the paying point for a majority of Kenyans. Where does it come in? Does it also need to come and do its own accreditation for them to contract, or how is this relationship?
Well, you know, when the authority came in, now there's a new game change here now.
Yep.
What it is going to be, and you know, with the NHIF reforms that took place sometime late last year, one of the recommendations was that a new entity needed to be in place to make sure that it does the accreditation of the facilities, and then the NHIF will be able to pick the work of that entity and to enter into contract with those facilities. Now, what we did last year to be able to enable the NHIF to enter into contract with the number of facilities, once we did the inspection of these 11,000 over 400, the 9,000 that were gazetted, this list was submitted to the NHIF. And it is expected, I think we had in discussion with the CEO of NHIF, that this is the number of facilities that NHIF would wish then to discuss and to enter into contract with this provider.
Okay.
So the report that we did as an authority is very comprehensive because it gives the level of care of the facilities, the services the facilities is providing. It also gives on what are some of the other things like the human resources that are available, what are the specialty services that are available in this. So the report is very comprehensive for NHIF to be able to use it, and in case they have any doubt, they could be able to maybe to pick any facility that they have doubt and to be able to verify.
The way it sounds, Daktari, is you're saying in the NHIF reforms of last year, one of the recommendations was that a separate body now does the accreditation. But those recommendations have not said that KHPO is the separate body.
No, it hasn't.
So from where you sit, do we need a third body still doing this accreditation? Why not just say that KHPO does the accreditation and gives the list of the approved facilities to NHIF to then enter into negotiations?
Well, I think that's why we started the process as an authority, because currently there is no such a body to be able to carry out. And thirdly is that the law is very explicit. It is the KHPO that is mandated to do the inspection of facilities. So any other body coming in, then it will just be a duplicate of what the authority is doing.
But is this contractual agreement that NHIF is supposed to do happening? Because the list is there, you gazetted it on the 4th day of February 2020. Now we are almost halfway into the year. Has this already happened so that Kenyans can continue receiving healthcare services, especially during this time of a pandemic?
Well, yeah, it is happening. It actually has been happening, and the contractual process is also a very tedious one. And NHIF has been using that list. I am aware that they have done a lot of contractual agreements with a number of providers. So it is happening.
How do we know? This is, I mean, for the layman, because these are people Kenyans who will go and access these facilities. And it's unlikely that people are going to walk around with a Gazette notice to know who these are. So how then will we know these accredited facilities that people then are able to use?
I think once the NHIF has finalized the contractual agreement with the provider, there is a certification that is provided by NHIF. For us as an authority, once we have said this facility has complied with the norms and standards, we'll be able to give that facility the compliance certificate. Okay. Now the NHIF then will be able then to say this facility has been now accredited or has been confirmed to provide the services as per the NHIF provisions.
Now, speaking as a consumer of health services, we see all the time, even in the news, people who are complaining of mistreatment or maltreatment by either professionals or facilities. Are we now saying that if you have a complaint, you go to the authority?
What I said from the word go is that, of course, the authority is tasked to be able to receive and facilitate the solution of complaints from the consumers of healthcare. But again, we've actually started receiving these complaints, and we've been directing them to the respective boards and councils. Remember, the authority is still very young. We are still starting. And eventually what will happen is that the process of receiving and resolving complaints will be streamlined by the authority.
There's also now the disquiet among the population that if you look at some of these bodies, they are made up of the professionals in that body. If you have to complain about a doctor, the doctor will be investigated by fellow doctors. And people feel that, if you ask the doctors to pass judgment on one of their own, they are most likely not going to pass a harsh judgment. How do we correct this perception way, and how do we ensure that justice is served at all times to all parties?
I think if you look at the amendment laws, most of the statutory laws for the professional bodies have actually been amended. And you look at the membership of the constituents of the boards and councils has really changed a lot. You do not have that representation from the doctors mainly. You have representation across other bodies, not necessarily even the health professionals. So this is going to be a thing of the past.
So how do people complain? Is there somewhere you log in and complain? Do you send mail, an email? How does one make a complaint? Whether it's a doctor, a facility, a nurse, a clinical officer, how do they reach you?
Well, as I said, that we just started. We are even in the process of formulating the regulations. We are done with formulating the regulations on the manner and the form which people will be launching their complaints and how the complaints will be handled from the various levels. Remember, the complaint may not necessarily come direct to the KHPO. The complaint launching can even begin, if it is a consumer, it can even begin from the hospital itself. From the hospital, it can go to the maybe to the county government, the county department of health. Then from there, it can still come to the authority. So not necessarily that the complaint will be coming primarily to the authority from the consumer. The regulations that we are doing will make sure that some of the complaints will be handled even at the facility level. If the complainant is not satisfied with the decisions that are made there, then the authority will also be there to tackle the same.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ari, for speaking to us. Dr. Jackson Kioko is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Health Professionals Oversight Authority. We'll be calling it KHPO. It will just be known as KHPO. Asante sana, Daktari.
Thank you very much, and karibu sana.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Master. Thank you.
Okay, have a
Ukuwe na
good day.
siku poa.
Okay. Oh, yes, siku poa.
25 minutes to 10 o'clock. Let's take a look at weather and traffic. The conversation continues. We open up the phone lines 0719 012 600. Good morning.
this morning. 20 degrees and mostly sunny conditions. We thought we'd see a chance of rain, but that might change. It might come at night. In the morning, we'll see. We'll see a high of 24 today and lows of 14. It's 19 degrees and mostly sunny in Nyeri today. Highs of 24 in Nakuru at 18 degrees. Sunny conditions this morning, but there will be a shower or two in the afternoon with highs of 25 and lows of 13. It's mostly sunny in Eldoret at 14 degrees. That's going to change later on with highs of 22 and lows of 12 when the showers come in. 23 degrees and partly cloudy in Kisumu. Showers expected in the afternoon. They did promise it was going to be a wet week in Kisumu. Highs of 27 and lows of 19 today. And in Mombasa, it's mostly cloudy at 26 degrees. Highs of 27 and lows of 24. And the odd shower will be experienced later in the afternoon. Malindi is experiencing light showers at the moment at 26 degrees. It's likely to be the condition through the rest of the day with highs of 28 and lows of 24. Take a look then into East Africa, where it's partly cloudy in Kampala at 21 degrees and showers promised for the afternoon with highs of 26 and lows of 20. Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 24 degrees and showers expected to start early on this afternoon. Highs of 26 and lows of 22. It's 13 degrees in Johannesburg and mostly sunny conditions. This morning, we'll see highs of 21 and lows of 7. In Lagos, it's mostly sunny at 27 degrees, highs of 32 and lows of 26. We'll take a look into Europe, where Paris is sunny this morning at 11 degrees. It's going to be very warm today with highs of 26 and lows of 10. And in New York at 15 degrees, an odd temperature for this time of year in New York. However, we'll see highs of 19 and lows of 11. And we'll wrap things up in London today, where it is 13 degrees and clear skies all through with highs of 25 and lows of 12. Because there was an accident on the southern bypass where there were no fatalities today, but in the opposite direction today, fatal accident on the eastern bypass just before what was the Taj Mall coming from Embakasi. As you approach, we ask you that you be very, very careful. There's a lot of drama going on the roads today, so it is a mess. Avoid the area if you can, waiting for emergency services. Likelihood that those who are on the southern bypass will now just carry on to the eastern bypass. Jogger Road is a mess at 9:30, and trying to get into the city centre, approaching the city stadium roundabout. That'll be a case this morning. Still trying to clear up what was happening on the southern bypass, and Thika Road is a mess today. A lot of traffic getting into the CBD. There's no other word for what I have to explain the traffic today is except wahala. And Spice of MKE is how you can reach us on Twitter. But for now, if you don't need to be on the roads, don't be.
All right, the phone lines are open. 0719 012 600. Social media platform is always open. Spice of MKE, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We have been talking to the CEO of the Kenya Health Professionals Oversight Authority. So this body is basically taking over now, coordinating the inspection of all health facilities, the doctors and all. And if you've got a complaint now, KHPO CEO says they don't have the capacity yet, but they're able to coordinate and ensure that if you complain about a nurse, the Nurses Council, the Nursing Council, which is also under them, they can follow up and ensure that the Nursing Council listens to those complaints or addresses the complaints. Or even if it's the doctors, then it's a doctors' council and vice, and so on and so forth. etc.
There are about 17 councils.
So too many.
But you see, the health sector, and we were actually just discussing this yesterday, that we have very many cadres. If you start, the obvious one is a doctor, you have the nurses. In Kenya, we have the clinical officers, then you have the laboratory technicians, then you have the nutritionists and
dietitians.
That one. Then you have physiotherapists. Wow, that list is usually long. there are many therapists.
Those are
there are like
many.
17 at least.
So
at the very least
17 bodies for
17
each.
bodies for each of
Yeah,
the cadre.
profession.
Yeah, and remember, each of them trains separately. Each of them looks
Licenses
at things
and accredit separately.
Separately, yeah. And the training requirements, obviously, for doctor, the minimum is a bachelor's degree. Clinical officers, nurses, the minimum is a diploma. Now we have a degree. So you have people at different levels. And let's say, for example, and this now comes into the disciplinary aspect. If you have a dental complaint, for example, a doctor sitting in to listen to your complaint, your general practitioner or any other specialty of doctor, may not really do you much, because those are totally different specialties. That is why you still need to have those specific cadres in there. If your complaint is against a physical therapist, a physiotherapist, for example, then it makes sense that you have somebody who understands that, who's going through that training and that practice in that particular conversation, so that they can understand what happened, what their colleague could have done wrong. All right. So yeah, so we have
So it's
many
important
cadres.
then to have the mini cadres, the various councils. And now I can see now then the importance of having all of them being coordinated by one body.
Right.
Exactly.
So that they're not just running amok and saying, sisi hatujui.
Hatukuambiwa.
Sisi
We
hatukuambiwa.
were not
Huyo ni
consulted.
nani? Huyo ni nurse. Huyo ati alikuwa wapi?
So when there's
Do
an
we have a
issue-
clinical officer in that facility?
Look at you.
Ndu.
So well, yeah.
I think huyo ni nurse huyo. Hebu enda uangalie tena.
Enda angalia tena.
Another time you're complaining, you've come here with a complaint, and now they're sending you back and forth. Zachary is calling in from Nakuru. I wonder if Zachary has a question or comment. Zachary, good morning.
Oh, hi guys.
Hi,
How are
Zachary.
you?
I'm happy to hear that you still have a voice to enchant us.
Mungu ni mwema.
Sure. But I know things are hard, a bit hard. But you are pushing on, and Eric is there. We will remember that I told you that you must first of all have what we call you approach the government the government of acting. That sometimes you go and say, oh, that is good, but it will be done when my funds become available. I hope you are applying it in your house.
Oh, yes.
Because women and children are at our throats.
Completely.
Now, I want to actually congratulate you. You're having good discussions. Yesterday, I couldn't reach you because I had some urgent issues that I had to attend 6 early in the morning.
Okay.
Now, week I called, and I was trying to explain what we call the Wajiro Aroi, that plant there. It wouldn't be my wish to confuse you, but let me make it clear that I did some research. Yeah.
Good.
And I found that, we have got Nyeri, we have got Muranga, and we have got Kiabu.
Yes.
I came to realize, or I was informed by some very highly praised researchers, that our Kikuyu differ. Okay. And they gave me an example, and I believed, there is this word kingotore,
No.
Kingotore means money in Kikuyu generally. If I tell you, oh, Eric has kingotore, it means that you have got money,
He does, eh?
Yeah, that is true. But the original meaning in Kiabu kingotore is 20 cents. Okay? But if you go to Muranga, the same kingotore means 110 cents. So somebody told me that in areas of Nyeri, Laikipia, all those areas, and in parts of Muranga, they call that plant Wajiro Waroriye. And Roriye was explained to you. Roriye is a place whereby it's like a plane,
Yes.
And now in Kiabu,
so in Kiabu,
the Muru, and we call it, some people call it Wajiro Waroi. Although they went further and told me that there is also another kafani animal that they call Wajiro Waroi in Kiabu, okay?
So there's an animal and a plant.
There is an animal and a plant. That is what I got so far. But I'm continuing the research. Now, on the issue of who should regulate the doctors, definitely, if I'm a farmer, I cannot regulate doctors. I cannot oversight doctors. Yeah. So there is what we call necessary evil. Okay. If a police comes and offends me, definitely I'm not going to call the pastors to investigate that person, because professionally they are not even trained to.
The police were trained. Yeah.
So actually, it is the police, the part of their police, they are going to investigate their colleague. And that's why I think it is good, because they are going to remind him, remember this, we were taught this.
Yeah.
Remember this, we were taught this.
They know the ethics of the profession.
Definitely, they know the ethics of the police, of the whatever. So, this is a necessary evil that we, in order for us to push our days on us, peacefully and smoothly, we have to accept some things.
Point taken, Zachary. Point taken.
Sure.
Say hello to Waithera.
Waithera is okay, and but I'm not pushing her on the issue of austerity measures, because I'm trying to convince everybody. Do you see this beautiful girl? She could save us one day because she could attract a billionaire.
So she's getting everything she wants.
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow.
Thank you, Zachary. Have a good day. Asante sana.
Thank you.
0719-012-600. You're talking about, the medical profession. Now we know that there is a KHPO, the authority we were talking about. That so all these other bodies, the 17, fall under this one particular authority. For seamless and best management of them. I asked him that question, and he went on and saying it's a law and all. But if you go and find 1,000 facilities had been licensed to operate at a certain level by these regulatory bodies, and then you go and you claim that your inspectors comprise officers from all these other bodies coming together, and you've downgraded 1,000 facilities. 1,000 facilities is not a small number.
It's major.
That's a lot.
This is a huge number. And now by downgrading, maybe Dr. Masi actually can tell us the categories, right? So we are starting from level 6 going all the way to level 1 is the lowest.
So I'll get you that level just
As you
now.
get that, then let's talk to John in Nyandarua as Dr. Masi is getting that, and then we continue the conversation. John, good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you, panel?
Good morning, John.
Very, very well, thank you.
Yes, very fine. We are also fine.
Super.
Good.
Now, I wanted to contribute on that medical professional body. Now, it's a good idea, but we should make medical professional have a body like the Teacher Service Commission. In other words, we should have a body similar to maybe the Judicial Service Commission or the Teacher Service Commission, in order to have a body that is professionally...
a health service commission you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To take care of every section of our medical services, rather than have the counties, have such a body, have the ministry. We should centralize.
I think that's John, that's one of the proposals in the BBI, which seems to be inevitable, to have a health service commission in there. And actually the task force that was managing this had called in some views from members of the public and including the unions and all of these bodies that have interest in the health sector to contribute to it. So if the BBI sails through, then we may get something that is beneficial to us in the health sector.
Because that's a big idea.
Yeah,
I hope it goes through.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, we talk about the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Public Service Commission, the Teacher Service Commission. Why not just have one for the health services? And this was among, actually, from the very beginning of devolution, doctors were up in arms. Actually, health professionals were just saying, look, it's best if we harmonize by having one body which hires us, which deals with our promotion, which deals with our transfers. Because all these issues that talk about, for example, you say Nyandarua has this number of doctors and the neighboring county does not have as many doctors.
Exactly.
We should have such a centralized command. It can be a very, very good idea. Because my idea that if we had a centralized professional body, we could not be having the problems we are having in the country. For instance, we could now not receive the instructions we received on COVID from Tanga, from the administrator in Tanga. It should have come from a professional body in Tanzania. You know?
Yeah.
Wacha
siasa kwa hiyo.
Not siasa.
Ice thin.
Because even if we had an agriculture professional body, for instance, we could now take the problem we have in Nyandarua to start a body.
True.
Because we have now snails that have attacked the farms here.
Snails.
You know, snails, some black snails, yeah. Very, very well. They're in thousands.
Okay.
And they are destroying crops all over.
You know, when I hear you say that, I remember Dr. Basi telling us about what?
Leishmaniasis.
Yeah.
And
Leishmaniasis.
do mention bilharzia.
And then they likened it to bilharzia, and I know bilharzia goes into snails. What are you saying, John?
Right. I'm telling you, these things are in farms in Nyandarua. They are eating cabbages in acres, eating potatoes. Yeah?
That's
Some farmers are not even farming in their farms.
Wow. Okay.
Because of this problem. And no professional person has taken action on this. We don't have medicine to take care of, anything to spray these things.
Good points taken.
We don't have agriculture extension officers to come and check on this. We don't know where they are. And yet, we understand that the services are at home.
Of course.
Is at home. It's at home.
Everybody is working from home.
Exactly.
John, thank you very much for your contribution today. Sam in Kisumu, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Salama kabisa.
And Dr. Mercy Andu,
Tuko salama.
Right. Now, I heard what the CEO spoke about Kyoko.
Yes.
But I think maybe it came too early because a lot of things are still pending as far as the things that he raised. We still don't know exactly how they are going to work, and they're saying we can complain to them, but, you know, we don't know whether they are saying we can also take them to the county, so we don't know exactly what they're handling. I think they need to make that very clear, what exactly they will handle and what will be handled at other levels. Because we also have the office of the ombudsman. For example, the case of we have provision for citizen service charter that's supposed to spell out responsibilities and the services we are supposed to get from facilities.
Yeah.
Specific things that facilities offer.
Yeah.
Even turnaround time.
Yeah.
The challenges we have had is that no one, in fact, if you go to most of these facilities, even other government offices, you'll find that service charter either on the board or in the offices. Okay, they're poorly done for now, but for a few, there was some effort to actually standardize them and make them, improve them. The facilities are supposed to operate as per the citizen service
charter.
Now, a number of them are not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
There are provisions in the law that says they are supposed to provide information and provide standards up to what the citizens expect. Now, for us to complain, we need to see a charter outlining the services they offer, the quality of services, and the turnaround time, and even the cost.
Good
now,
points.
I don't know the link between the CEO's poor thing and how that charter is going to be implemented.
We'll ask that.
Needs to come out.
We'll ask them that, and we'll ask them to clarify. And also, just like you said, they came into office last year. You know our Kenyan way. Let's give them time to settle down, to acclimatize.
But you see, that is the challenge. Eh?
Of course, I know.
Eric,
I'm being
that
facetious.
Is the challenge, eh? That is the challenge because they will come in there. You know, even the poor of the police, poor, yeah? They seem to love the poor thing.
It's poor. Everything is poor.
Poor. That's so difficult to. And then the last thing I wanted to engage Mercy on, Dr. Mercy, I live in the village, somewhere around Kisumu, outskirts of town. And you find this issue of mask. Somebody is herding cows, There's a cow passes around my place every day. And a chunga ng'ombe. And the guy wears mask with the cows alone in the in the field. I'm telling you for sure. And I've been concerned. I raised it with my wife the other day. I say, why is this guy wearing a mask? And he's all alone with the animals.
Are there police nearby?
My wife was telling me that, waskari wanapita hapa wakimpata.
No, it's not about. No one wants to be harassed.
No, there's still a gap. There's still a gap in communicating this thing to people. Why yesterday the police, the government spokesman was trying to talk about people in private cars. I think something needs to be done.
It's inculcating a culture.
People get to know, why am I wearing a mask? And then, so that, because that has not come in. Why does this guy work with animals? Every single day, I'm a mask.
Good point, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Lydia in Parklands, good morning.
Good morning. This is Lydia, yes?
Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Lydia.
Spice FM. Hello, Spice FM. Thank you for your good work. I wanted to say, Mr. Jackson, is he a doctor?
Yes, he is.
Kyoko.
Yes. Please remind him regularly, did he provide a phone number where people can complain? Because what your eyes see, I don't. What my eyes see, you don't. So we have to have a phone number where everyone can bring their complaint. Only then the government can be put to work.
Good point.
Please remember. Otherwise, I agree with all that was said. And about the mask, in the news yesterday, it said, don't harass people without a mask in their private cars. Because the police are making roadblocks, and then when you're late to get home, why are you still on the road by 7? It troubles you, and yet they accuse you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've shared a link of the gazetted health facilities and exactly what each level of facility has to offer. So your level 1 facility is your basic community health facility that should be able to identify simple symptoms and know where to send you next. Your level 2 facilities are your medical clinics, your dental clinics, dispensaries or faith-based organizations, any mobile clinic or an eye clinic. And these ones offer basic services like maternity services, primary care services, and the like. And they can also do HIV, TB screening services. Then now when you start getting to hospitals, you start at level 3A facilities, which is a basic health center. A level 3B facility is a comprehensive health center that will offer inpatient services, referral services, outpatient services. The list is there. You also have a medical or dental center, which is an outpatient facility with pharmacy services, radiology services. Level 3B also includes funeral homes and nursing homes or cottage hospitals. Your level 4 facilities now are your county hospitals or any that are internship training centers and some specialized health facilities. Let's say, for example, they're offering specialized dental services or ophthalmology services. Those now will be your level 4 facilities. Your level 5 facilities, you're starting to get into county referral hospitals, and I think every county has, and some of them were the previous provincial hospitals. And then now level 6 are your national referral and teaching hospitals. You have KNH there, Moi Teaching and Referral, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. There are 4.
And now
then KU TRH, yes. And then there are other level 6 which are in the private sector, 2 of them. Aga Khan University Hospital is a teaching hospital, and I think the other one should be Nairobi Hospital. So those are your 6 level 6
those
facilities.
are the 6 level 6.
Yeah, but you can access these online at the Kenya Law, or we have also shared online on our social media pages, so that you have a know on what is and what is not.
This conversation continues tomorrow. We'll find out what's happening. How far has Corona gone? How far has the new one gone? What again? That Lemo what?
Leishmaniasis.
Hey, Eric.
It's just too difficult. I mean,
you don't want to get it, do you?
No. I will not accept to say this word.
I shall not tell you in full.
There's a fuller one.
So leishmania is the parasite. So it either can cause problems on the skin, so it would be cutaneous leishmaniasis,
Mm-hmm.
or internal organs, which is visceral leishmaniasis.
Visceral leishmaniasis. See you tomorrow. Stay leishmaniasis free. Say goodbye, Dr. Mercy and Ndu.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, good people.
KHPO ni siku 10 o'clock. Good morning. Let's see you again tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.